It's a wunderbar Wednesday. Welcome on the AM show. We get excited all because you get excited watching us in the studio every morning, and that's why we're always glad to do this. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I always do this together with Bernice Abubedu Lanza. From us to you, good morning. Now, coming up shortly, the news, then the news review with Dr. Kwame Asante, political scientist, as well as director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. And then from there, we get into our big stories. You've probably noticed that the rains have been hitting us. Over the last week, it's not been so consistent. But this morning, we're talking about the rains and the filth they often carry. It's been raining for some time, and we know how our drains are filled with filth any time it rains. The question is, how is the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the AMA, handling the situation? Is it on course to making Accra the cleanest city in Africa, like we've heard touted by Mr. President, as well as the Minister for that sector? Well, today we'll be joined by Florence Kuukyi. She's Director of Public Health at the AMA. What should you know? Stick and stay for that conversation. Also on the show, we'll be talking housing, and we're getting ready for opening weekend. It's the Joy News Habitat Fair 2023. And you don't want to miss that conversation because this year, it's going to be even bigger. Should you buy? Should you build? What should you do going about owning your home? We'll be telling you about that. Well, today is also a Wednesday, and courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, will be coming your way with AM Business. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry says there is the need for the business community to be well informed and updated on the impact of the International Monetary Fund Program. That's what we have lined up for you as far as AM Business is concerned. Well, as always, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot your thoughts to us via the live stream. Don't be partisan. Think Ghana. If you have anyone who is celebrating a special day today, birthday, shoot them to me now via the live stream, and let's celebrate that person. On that note, the news up next. On the AM News. Let's get straight into our first story now. And traditional authorities in the Asin North constituency are making a fresh and strong push to President Akufo-Addo and Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame to drop criminal charges against their Member of Parliament, James Gyakye. It comes on the day Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, swore into office in the latest addition to Parliament, James Gyakye, with former President John Dramani Mahama leading a high-powered NDC delegation to witness the ceremony. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwame Asante now reports.
All who mattered in the NDC were in Parliament to witness the swearing-in of James Gyakye, with former President John Mahama and the NDC chairman Asin leading the pack. The public gallery was packed with traditional rulers and NDC supporters. At some point, Parliament was almost turned into an NDC rally ground. Since Gyakye was elected last week, NDC MPs have always come to the floor wearing white. Today was no exception. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin administered the oath to the MP.
I, James Gyakye, having been elected a member of Parliament, do in the name of the Almighty God swear. Do in the name of the Almighty God swear. That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
The minority in Parliament are now warning if the criminal charges against Gyakye are not dropped, cooperation will suffer in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to serve notice that the entire minority group will accompany our colleague to court today and any other day that he is to appear in court. Mr. Speaker, we are solidarizing with our colleague and we will not participate in the business of the House anytime our colleague is in court, and we will be withdrawing from the chamber after this ceremony if the court processes indeed happens today. So, Speaker, amid persecution, cooperation will certainly suffer.
We shall continue to attend every court hearing with him in the full complement of our strength in the House. And this we shall extend to the court hearings of the minority leader himself, Honorable Asin, Honorable Collins Dauda, and any other member of the minority who is currently being prosecuted.
Traditional leaders in Asin North have also added their voice.
If he says, Asin announces Asin North, Setembia, court to court, and summon Bemwa, Yenya and Puntubia, Ewo, and Tiasre or my penny, ne atomic general say, Omo Modin, na Omuntrasa and Samoa, air questioning in Emu, if he said, Anya Berry, Yera, question, on one day and Mukai.
But Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonsu says this decision will be made by the Attorney General.
The choice of the people of Asin North, and we must, everybody must. The rest of it is in the hands of the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, the rest of it, as we move from here, is in the hands of the Attorney General.
The pressure is now mounting, with traditional rulers now getting on board and asking the Attorney General and the President to drop the criminal charges against Kwame. The ball is now in the court of the President and the Attorney General. They have to make this decision. Today we heard from a leading member of the New Patriotic Party who has been calling on the Attorney General, like other people, including the Domahine, that is Honorable Ayukwe Otu, who himself is the former Attorney General, asking for these charges to be dropped so that Kwame can focus on his job in Parliament so that the country can move on in tranquility. But it was a big day in the House today with Kwame being sworn in as a member of Parliament. Last week, we expected that a swearing-in ceremony would have taken place, but the delay in the EC transmitting the writ of election delayed it, and today, Kwame finally had his day, taking his seat in the hallowed chambers of Parliament. Reporting for Joy News, Kwame Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
From that swearing in, let's talk banking now. And founder of defunct Capital Bank, William Essien, has once again been given another lifeline to redeem his payment to the state by a commercial division of an Accra High Court. Mr. Essien was expected to pay to the state an amount of 20 million Ghana cedis by the end of April. But as of July the 4th, he had only been able to pay 8 million out of the 20. In court on Tuesday, his lawyers pleaded with the court for Mr. Essien's passport to be released to him to enable him travel outside the country to raise the money. But his request was turned down by the court. The court has given him up to the 27th of July for him to pay the remaining 12 million Ghana cedis of his first tranche of payment to the state or risk going to jail. Richard Kwejunako has more in this report.
William Essien returned to court on Tuesday in his attempt to convince the court not to jail him, but give him more time to liquidate his assets and pay the remainder of the first tranche of 12 million of the money he owes the state after he was able to pay 8 million Ghana cedis out of the 20 million. His lawyer pleaded for more time to enable his client mobilize resources to pay. Balfour Jewubo Sueshia, who held the brief on behalf of Tadeo Sori, pleaded with the court to have Essien's passport released to him. He explains that the move will make his client to be able to travel across the globe in order to raise the money. According to him, the seizure of Essien's passport restricts him and impedes his movement to do business globally. But the presiding judge, Eric Che Balfour, indicated that the best the court could do for him is to give him up to the end of July, precisely the 27th of July 2023, to redeem the outstanding amount of 12 million Ghana cedis, being the remainder of the first tranche of payments. He said the convict has only made 2 million Ghana cedis payments since the last adjourned date, and he is reluctantly giving him a further opportunity to liquidate his assets to redeem the money. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayeboa stated that they are in the hands of the court and the 27th of July should be the last opportunity the convict has to redeem himself.
The accused, are not calling him accused, he's a convict. If we're a convict, you are not supposed to be traveling. You are supposed to be being in custody. We're giving suspension dispensation and then you're at home coming to court. So if you give you the passport and you go and you don't come back, Ghanaians can blame me. They can even blame the court. People who have been standing trial have not been convicted. They don't have access to their passports. How much less or more about people who have been convicted and then they are waiting their sentence? So I think we will oppose it, even if they start making such an effort. If the 12 million is paid, then he may be minded to consider the outstanding sum. So meaning, even if the 12 million is paid, the judge may still say that looking at the law, he may want to go ahead to convict, sort of to sentence him into prison. But we are bound by whatever the judge says, and when we come back on the 27th, there's no expectation that we go by the orders of the court as made today, so we can know the way forward. It's a tool that is still available to accused persons, but I think that if an accused person decides to take advantage of that section, you must be also ready to go by the terms that you undertake to undergo. But the whole thing is, if you agree that you are going to pay an amount by X date and refuse to pay, and we have to be chasing you up and down, I don't think something that we may want to encourage. So having this experience, this particular case, in subsequent proceedings, we may also want to change our strategy. But on the 27th, if nothing is paid, or if the amount as ordered by the court is not paid, then that may be the last point that we may want to part company with this accused person.
If Asante is able to make the outstanding payment of the first tranche of 20 million, he will be left with 40 million Ghana cedis more to pay to the state in order to escape a jail term. Reporting for Joy News from the court complex, Richard Kwejunyako.
Let's veer into politics now, and former General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, Kwame Asante, is challenging delegates to vote for a leader who has served with dedication, values, and principles in the party. According to him, the decision of the delegates in the upcoming flag-bearer elections will affect the generations unborn, a reason they have to be circumspect. He made this assertion after taking his turn to face the vetting committee of the NPP. Samuel Mbura of our political desk has more in this report.
The former General Secretary of the NPP, Kwame Asante, was held by the vetting committee chaired by Professor Mike Aaron Okwe for close to 2 hours. After the closed-door engagement, he assured the media that it was a fruitful conversation and he was sure of progressing to the next stage. Although he would not disclose the details of the vetting, Mr. Asante reminded delegates in the party that this is the time to instill substance into the body politics of the country and not elect persons with selfish interests.
Our delegates know that they have their birthright. They know they are voting for generations unborn. So it is time for them to vote values, principles, dedication and sacrifice. These are the new tenets that should be the backbone and the foundation of politics in Ghana, not monetization. Okay, so we need to ensure, to instill substance to our politics. We need to instill goodwill. We need public-spirited individuals who are prepared to die for our country, not to go in there for individual aggrandizement. That's not what I stand for. Everybody knows my record. Everybody knows my record. I've served President Kufuor for close to 6 years.
The outspoken former General Secretary also impressed upon the national executives of the NPP to ensure an even-handed election process to facilitate unity in the party.
Well, my advice to the national executive, I've been a General Secretary myself, when you have an even-handed process and it produces a leader, and it facilitates unity amongst us, and I think that as a political party, NPP, we have the numbers. If we are a cohesive unit, we are united, and we have a decent, fair process, and then the chances that we can really win in 2024 gets enhanced. So that's what I would like to say.
One other aspirant who had his turn was former Energy Minister, Boakye Jako. He was later discharged after an hour and a half of scrutiny on his documents he presented before the committee. He, however, declined media engagements, stating that it was a standard practice in the party for aspirants not to grant interviews after vetting. Asin Central MP, Kennedy Japan, was the last aspirant to be vetted on the day 2 of the exercise. The vetting continues on Wednesday with Dr. Kofi Konadu-Apreku, Joe Gatti, and former Agric Minister Dr. Efri Akoto expected to face the committee. For Joy News, Samuel Mbura.
Now, the mayor of Tamale, Sule Salifu, has raised concerns over communities stealing school furniture from schools and selling them to scrap dealers. He said the attention of the assembly had been drawn to some communities selling the metal parts of the furniture to scrap dealers while the wooden parts were used as fuel wood. The mayor said this was a presentation of furniture to some schools in Tamale.
The mayor, Sule Salifu, raised the concerns of theft of dual decks when he presented some dual decks to 7 schools in the Tamale metropolis. He said the assembly is working hard to help ensure effective teaching and learning by creating the right environment.
What we want to say is to appeal to the communities to show interest in keeping these chairs for the purpose for which it was donated. We are told that in many of the communities, these chairs are stolen and sold to scrap dealers. The wooden part is used for firewood. I want to say that it is not the best for our children as far as access to quality education is concerned. So we want the chiefs, the opinion leaders, school management teams, assemblymen, unit committees to be interested in the welfare of this furniture. The assembly will continue to do its part in terms of the provision of furniture and other learning materials.
The mayor said to address the furniture deficit in the metropolis, the assembly will spend a chunk of the funds of 4.2 million of the Social Cohesion Project Fund, which will be disbursed next year to procure more furniture for the remaining schools.
The SOCO project is a collaboration between the government of Ghana and the World Bank. And the assembly will be taking about 4.2 million Ghana cedis this year. And out of that, the assembly is devoting a chunk of the resources that will be taken from the Ministry of Local Government to the provision of furniture for our schools. So I want to use the opportunity to thank the Honorable Minister for Local Government for the inclusion of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly in this collaboration between the World Bank.
The presiding member for the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, Abukari Issa, said support like the infrastructure are physical evidence of the Assembly's support to communities.
The communities are large, but we have been able to support 10 communities. What it means is that it's a continuous process towards reducing the furniture deficit within the metropolis. As representatives of the people, these are some of the things that make us very happy, because if they ask us what we do in terms of education, supporting the educational sector, these are concrete evidence or pictures we will point out to them. Once again, on behalf of the beneficiary schools and communities, we are exceedingly grateful to the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly.
Well, now, the World Bank says it has committed some $14 million to the redevelopment of major tourist sites across Ghana. The amount is part of a 5-year, $40 million tourism development project aimed at giving a facelift to tourist attraction sites. Country Director of the World Bank, Pierre-Frank Laporte, says he is hopeful the gesture will contribute to the country's economic development. He spoke at the commissioning of the redeveloped Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum in Accra.
Let me say a few words about select aspects of the tourism development project. This $40 million 5-year project has positioned the tourism and hospitality sectors as key drivers of social and economic development in Ghana. The project supports improved tourism products and services provision and upgrading skills in the labor force in the tourism, arts, and culture sector. The project has now disbursed $20 million in grants, and procurement is underway for disbursement of the additional $20 million over the next 12 months. This includes 1,250 grants under several windows, such as the COVID-19 recovery grants, small and medium enterprises grants, and the tourism site grants. Several tourist sites and destinations have received infrastructure support and upgrades and developments under the project. This includes the Kintambo Waterfalls, Bonwa Craft Village, Bogwaye Palace Museum, Ankasa Forest Reserve Receptive Facility, Nzulezu Receptive Facility, and Gushegu Smoke Village, to name just a few. Your Excellency, going forward, the bank is working with the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture and the Finance Ministry to identify funding for 5 iconic sites that will receive needed construction upgrades now that the studies and design works are near completion. These are the Cape Coast Castle, Elmina Castle, and the 3 protected areas, Kakum, Mole, and Shai Hills. 3 key project outcomes should be mentioned. The annual growth rates in international and domestic tourists have increased. New investments from the private sector have been leveraged for site development, and about 1,850 Ghanaians have been trained in the sector, of which 55% are women.
Well, in his address, President Akufo-Addo announced that government was currently taking steps to redevelop the Cape Coast Castle and 4 other major tourist attraction sites to boost the tourism sector.
The 30 million CD modernized Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park is in line with plans by government to make the park one of the best tourism and heritage attractions in West Africa. As the outstanding Pan-Africanist of his generation, the burial site of Dr. Nkrumah must be appropriate to his status and exceptional contribution to the liberation of Africa from colonialism and imperialism. The Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, which attracted some 90,000 visitors annually before the renovation, is now expected to attract over 1 million tourists annually. I'm charging the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture and its agencies to devise effective marketing and promotional strategies to achieve the target of 1 million domestic and international tourist visitations to the park. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of measures to make Ghana the hub of tourism in West Africa, we're building museums and other tourist attractions in various parts of the country. The construction of a museum in Heroes Park for the Big Six, a memorial park in Cape Coast for the Aborigines, a memorial enclave in Tamale for the founders of the erstwhile Northern People's Party to symbolize their participation in the drive for national independence, and the completion of ongoing works at the Bonwe Museum and the Yaa Santoa Museum, both in Ejiso, are in the offing. You recall also that the National Museum had to be closed down for 7 years, from 2015 to 2022, due to lack of maintenance. It was in my time in 2022 that the renovation of the museum has been completed. Museums and other tourist attractions are the living energies of culture and history.
Now, 2-time finalists of the Love FM High Schools debate, Prempeh College, have secured a slot at the semi-final stage of the competition. In an ambitious, combative and a cutthroat argument on the motion the retirement age for civil servants should be moved to 70 years, the Amanfoɔ of Prempeh College eliminated the Rama of Kumasi Wesley Girls. Nana Bwachi Adam reports from Kumasi. Arise and shine, students of Prempeh College, training for truth and excellence to build
So yesterday wasn't a good day for them, but today is a good day for Prempeh College as they win their contest against Kumasi Wesley Girls. Amanfoɔ today won their contest on the motion, quote, the retirement age for civil servants should be moved to 70, unquote. I have the debaters here with me, and I'll be finding out from this gentleman who was a subordinate speaker for Prempeh College. What was the trick again? I've been asking you this question over and over again. How do you always win your contest, especially today's contest against Kumasi Wesley Girls?
I know you asked the question over again, and the answer is this team. It's the God factor for me. All I'll say today is Abba Father. He has done it. What you saw there today was a miracle, honestly. It was a full miracle. My own presentation, I was blank. But in Jesus' name.
In fact, God has really done so well for you. But no, I want to find out, is it the name Prempeh College that scared Kumasi Wesley Girls?
Yes. Oh no, I'm not sure it's the name. Nah, it's not the name Prempeh College that scared Kumasi Girls. When you're coming against a bigger school, of course, you have this nervous feeling or something. But then, no, it wasn't just Prempeh College.
Wait. You admit you're a bigger school?
I don't have to say that. I don't have to say it.
All right. And here I have the principal speaker who spoke for Prempeh College on the motion today. In fact, I must say that they won with some 240 points against Kumasi Wesley Girls, where they also had 231 points. So 9 points different. How did you make it a win for yourself today?
As my friend just said, everything is God. Everything is God. God is the factor in everything. If you heard him say in the name of Jesus, it is not a mistake that he made. It was actually in the presentation. We include God in everything that we do so that in the end we prosper and we profit. Yes.
To make things simple and for the benefit of our audience, other schools in the contest, you'll be meeting Asante. What are they to expect from you? Simple.
If God is victory and Prempeh College is victory, then God is Prempeh College. So they should expect to meet God.
So at Santaman Senior High School, you'll be joined by Prempeh College at the semi-final stage of the Love FM High School debate. Their warning is that expect to meet God. Today, they came against Kumasi Wesley Girls. They made it a win. At the semi-final stage, they will be coming against you. But they are saying the last thing they would have to tell you is expect nothing but the God factor. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Nana Bwachidan Kwayadom.
Well, it's a wrap for the news. Do stay with us as we're joined by Dr. Kwame Asante for the news review. Thank you for staying. Time now to get into the news review. We're joined by Dr. Kwame Asante. He is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, also the director of the Center for European Studies at the same institution. But as always, this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they are offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free female fertility screening, of course, if you're a woman. And here's where you can locate them to check yourself out and know what your fertility, your reproductive status is. Because in both cases, it has to do with your reproductive system. Now, they are here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. If you want to go to Kumasi, if you're in the Ashanti region, you can go to Kumasi. Kronumabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. If you're in Takrade, you can locate them at Anaji Estates. If you're back in the Greater Accra region, specifically Tema, they're in Community 22. They're also in Techiman, Hanswa, and Esiama and Zama. The numbers to call them on, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start, as always, the commencement of the news review. Dr. Kwame Asante, a very good morning to you, sir, if you can hear me.
Good morning, Ben, and how about you?
I'm well, I'm well. How about you?
I'm good.
Whenever we say well, we are well, but God day. God day. God day.
This one too shall pass.
This too shall pass, eh? We hope it passes quickly, because... All right, so you know how we do it. Once we start having our conversation, I usually want to hear from you on certain subjects and also let you vent, so to speak, on some of those very topical matters. This morning, I want to start by putting two things to you. One, our power situation. Our lights have not gone off, and hopefully they stay that way. But the IPPs are still owed huge sums of money, over $1.73 billion. That is the independent power producers. We're still juggling. The ECG has been able to prevent a shutdown, but we're still wary of what could happen in the coming days, weeks, months. What do you make of that? And then secondly, the Member of Parliament for Asin North, Kwame, has maintained his seat. Now, a High Court judge, who is also the Domahene, has come out to say, issue a nolle prosequi, let it go. The people have spoken. There's also former Attorney General himself, Aikwe Otu, who has waded into the conversation. A Member of Parliament, from the majority, and others have waded into the conversation. In fact, yesterday I had the Member of Parliament from Praeso here, Davis Opoku, who said, look, for him, he doesn't really have a problem with this whole thing about dual citizenship and that we should even tweak our constitution. I ask you this morning, as a political scientist, one who is concerned about governance, what do you make of it now? What do we do?
Let me look at the power situation.
Right.
Yes. Why am I looking at this? It is very, very important because we struggle to get here.
Right.
All right. The previous administration was chastised for not being able to deal with Dumso. So one would have thought that this government would take all necessary steps to make sure that this problem is fixed and fixed forever. I was surprised to hear on your network, the radio.
Hello, Doc.
Mr. Jinapo of the NDC. Can you hear me now?
I lost you for a few seconds, but go ahead. Just a few seconds.
Okay. Yes, I was saying that, yes, this is so important because we struggle so much to be able to restore this situation and then get us to the normalcy that we expect. So this situation that we find our hands currently is surprising to me. And I was so shocked to hear from Mr. Jinapo that Parliament did approve some money for government. And then you ask yourself, what happened to the money? I don't know. Has it been part of the payment? And if it has been the case, why are we where we are? That now the IPPs are threatening to shut down. Until last week that they had the dialogue, the conversation, and they have reached some agreement. This problem, we need to deal with it once and for all. There are a lot of dark areas with regard to energy issues, which I'm not comfortable with. Governance requires that you need to be transparent. Why are they hiding information from us if that is the case? If that is not the case, why are we delaying in payment? Is it the case that people do not pay their bills? Yes, we've seen that in recent times. The ECG has engaged in embark on a very brilliant program to collect their debt and all that. What happens? What they have received? I listened to the manager. He said the terms that they are having with the independent power producers, they are talking to them because it's not difficult to meet and all that. Why are we in such a murky situation, knowing very well that we need energy for everything? I think that we should be serious as a state and deal with this issue once and for all. It's becoming one too many. Very little time that we get, we don't apply resources very well. It is not the case that we don't get the resources, but we mismanage the resources, and that is what has brought us this far. I think that the time is now for us to act very fast so as to save the country from plunging into darkness. We don't want doom so again.
On the bit about Kwame, Asin North, and the comments that have been put forth. What is your take?
Yes, if you look at the comments, I am not happy as a student of democracy because democracy hinges on rule of law.
Right.
Equality before the law, due process. By due process, we are saying that all human beings in the state are equal before the law.
Right.
So whenever there is an issue before court, it is important for us to what? Be quiet and follow the process to the end. Why are people throwing in a lot of things that disturb the whole situation?
Even more interesting, the fact that you have a High Court judge currently who is also part of Nananom, the Domahene, and you also have a former Attorney General who served under the MPP. But a nolle prosequi is an option, a legal tool that is used all the time. In fact, the current Attorney General has used it. So is it out of turn?
No, I am not talking about the issue of the nolle prosequi, but I'm talking about the comment.
The commentary.
Which really started the commentary. That he will go to jail, he will not go to jail. All these things, I'm not sure we are helping building a democracy which hinges on rule of law.
Right.
Why we can judge the case? Why do we need a court in the first place? Then it's pointless to have a we should all be quiet and really have been doing for this country since time immemorial. So if you take this position, then we are undermining the authority of the court. And at the end of the day, anybody can come to that field and then we come and misbehave. I think that is wrong. But I was also saddened by the fact that well-meaning institutions did not condemn this act. So we always give political actors the opportunity to misbehave.
So when you say did not condemn this act, whom specifically are you referring to? Whose action?
I did not hear a thing from Ghana Bar Association. I did not.
In terms of what?
Yes, that this comment that keep on coming, that whenever there is an issue before court, people commenting, it should be a worrying development for the Bar Association.
Right.
Particularly that institution. I did not hear that, but I also heard them recently when somebody attacked from Parliament, attacked the former CJ.
The minority chief whip.
Yes, they were quick. And I asked myself, are they also still around when these things are going? This is something close to them that I expect them to issue a statement and condemn all those who are involved in this because it doesn't bode well for democracy. Yes, apart from them, any other institution worth a salt is supposed to talk about these things.
Right.
Because once we bastardize the court, I'm afraid, I don't know where we will run to when we are in difficulty. Yeah, the issue of the nolle prosequi, I must say that I will not comment on it simply because I'm not a lawyer and I'm always careful when I'm treading on grounds that I have no knowledge of. So leave it to the lawyers. They will look at it and then comment on it. But the issue that I want to still stand by is the issue that when issues are before court, we must respect the court, that it is the appropriate forum and allow the court to do its work. It doesn't matter who you are. You leave the matter to the court. When the court finishes its work, then we come in and comment. And even there, we need to be measured and tempered, which the lawyers have told us. So I think that is the lesson that we have to learn. And if we really, really, really want to support this democracy, we need to comport ourselves from this way.
Well, thank you for those initial thoughts. And let's get into the papers now, shall we? We'll start with the Daily Graphic. And Akufo-Addo resurrects Nkrumah renovated Memorial Park opens. That's the banner headline. Yesterday, that happened. AG decries public commentary on court cases, which I find apt, but also curious, because when there has been public commentary on other cases, there has been no talk. Yet when some cases that maybe government is leaning this way or that towards, then there is talk about public commentary. Anyway, 13 regions take drugs against river blindness and elephantiasis. And Kwame sworn in as a member of parliament. On the back page, Stanbic Bank supports UG's STEM education and communications ministry trains 9,000 girls in ICT. Let's get into that story, the major one. Now, the stature of Kwame Nkrumah as an iconic Ghanaian and an African personality came alive with the inauguration of a refurbished and modernized edifice that serves as his memorial. The monumental project to give the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park a complete makeover befitting the country's first Republican president has seen the holy grounds, which holds the remains of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the African personality of the millennium and father of Pan-Africanism, renovated and decked in modernity. Now, in terms of the scope of work, the additions to the park, which is located on the Atta Mills Highway in Accra, adjacent the Arts Center, include a presidential library, a reception facility, an amphitheater, a restaurant, Freedom Hall, and the digitalized payment and access system. You know, for me, Doc, I've always wondered, and I've always said, it is true what they say, a prophet is never recognized in his own home. I've been to Burkina Faso. Ouagadougou has a major highway, the entire street dedicated to Kwame Nkrumah. Burkina Faso. I mean, what really were their relations to Ghana? In Guinea, where he spent, part of the rest of his life, I think, before he went to Romania. Similar. If you go across Africa, even if I'm not mistaken, Ethiopia and other places, you would find effigies, recognition given to Kwame Nkrumah, the Osajefo. Yet in Ghana, what can we point to? I've always said some of the vehicles he used. One of them is at the mausoleum now, but that wasn't the only one. His books were burnt, many of them, so we've lost some of that. It was a crime at a point under Buzia to even use some of his books, and not just Buzia, even before. But then there was this place, I really have to do my research on that. I found it some time back and I've lost it. I think in one of the northern regions, either Upper West or Upper East, the former Upper West or Upper East, where he would go and rest when things became too turbulent. In the Kulungungu bomb attack, where it happened, we're not maintaining these places. And I'm not even talking about immortalizing the man. The man is already immortal. He will live through time. You can't talk about colonialism and African liberation without Nkrumah and the Pan-Africanist agenda. But for tourism, the very tourism that now Mr. President and others are talking of boosting, these are sites that can rake in a lot of money for Ghana. Yet here we are. Your take?
Yes, I think you have said it all. I am worried because people struggle and then dedicate themselves for all of us in the country. And then is that how to pay them? If you look at the contribution of this Kwame Nkrumah to this country, and even for entire Africa, immense contribution. There's no doubt about that. If you are not a student of politics, that's a different story. But I tell you, Nkrumah did a lot, that he deserved a better place in Ghanaian politics, and that we need to honor him so well. I have been to Kenya, and the things you saw in Burkina Faso, I saw the Nkrumah statue in Kenya, a big one. Kwame Nkrumah did so well. It is painful that if you look around, I don't know whether you can find Nkrumah's home. You can find a building that you call his own. Nkrumah died virtually as a pauper. Yes, but if you look at what he did for the country, a lot. Schools, hospitals, name them, the list is tall, very, very tall. But I am happy that this government has taken the trouble to renovate Nkrumah's resting place. It's fine. But look, we should learn from the mistakes of the past. Those who bend Nkrumah's books and, pull down his effigy and all that must bow their head in shame. I don't understand that. You can disagree. Political differences are always around, right? But there is nothing wrong with that. But to the extent of burning his book, destroying all his legacy and all that, nobody can destroy Nkrumah's legacy. There is nobody under the surface of the earth, because he lived way beyond his contemporaries. There's no doubt about that. So If we are honoring him, let us do it and do it very well. Let me stretch the conversation. That should not only be limited to Nkrumah. We should extend it to all the leaders, people who have helped this country.
In fact, one person, Doc, that I also feel we've not been fair to, he was a military leader, but I feel at his time, he was thinking also ahead of his time. Ignatius Kutu Echampo. We don't like talking about him.
I disagree. I don't want any military leader to be honored in this country. Otherwise,
why not? Why not? Especially when they were thinking in ways that even our so-called democratic leaders couldn't. Look at the economy under him. I know Dr. A.O. Abudu, very old man, almost 90 now, and what he did with Operation Feed Yourself and what they did in terms of Ghana's debt. Yes, but look at the economy. Look at what we achieved at the time. Is it simply because he was a military leader?
No, hold on. That argument cannot be wholly true. Busia put in a lot, but in politics, luck counts a lot. Those things germinated in what? Achampon's
time.
If Achampon had the magic wand to turn things around, and he was the originator of all those things, why is that? Is it that when things became tough, he was calling for essay competition, he was calling for all manner of things you cannot think of, that as way forward to the problem? He was not.
Right.
I can say without fear of contradiction. So it was Busia who put in a lot, and the blossom in his era. I don't want us to glorify any.
So are you saying Echampo did nothing? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would not. That will also be understatement. No, I will not. I'll give him his credit, but I'm saying that part of the success that he chalked was the work of Professor Busia. That is also a fact.
Right.
Yes. But I will not want to glorify any military leader who came, overthrew a constitutionally elected government, and then we honor him. Then we set the stage for chaos. We open the floodgate. No, we are talking about constitutionally elected people. When they come, we honor those who deserve that. We should extend it to other people. The U.S. has a beautiful example that we can learn from. If you are president and you leave office, they build a museum for you in your hometown. I had opportunity through the U.S. Embassy to visit Kennedy's Museum in Boston, all right? And they have all their leaders, they have museum all over. Look at the resources. Tourists who go there, you buy souvenir, they walk you around and all that. You pay, I think we paid about $35 or so. That was 2017 or so per person. We can replicate that here and build. Can you imagine you build a museum in what? Golu, so that somebody will travel there and see the works of what? President Liman, which people have forgotten about.
Which brings to mind whether we've done enough in Nkrofo.
Yes.
In Nkrofo.
Liman.
Right.
And yes, and then in Nkrofo, you build a mausoleum there. Then you go to Angloga, build something for Rawlings. And then we are building this state. Not only them, but those who really fought for this country. Nikwa Blaboni and Co. Kinagri. Have we honored them? These are the people, I believe, that they fought really for this country. But they've forgotten. People have forgotten about them. Kwekuyaka and the rest of them. We are thinking about the basics. To me, just accidental, all right? Yes, the real big six are there. We need to look for them. And then what? Honor them. In addition to our president and all that. Once we do that, we get people, we whet the appetite to be able to what? Want to serve their society and come into public service and serve them. All these leaders, Nkrumah, Busia, and Co. Which property can you point to in the name of Busia? Apart from his Danzoma house or, he doesn't have anything. These are people who live a selfless life. Look at what I went to. Liman's home, Nungwa. My goodness. President, but a very humble man. He lived a very good life, and that he must be remembered. And we build museum. I think it will serve the purpose that we are talking about.
Thank you so much for your thoughts there. But just to clarify, I wasn't trying to glorify military putches or military endeavors in governance. But even if the person takes over through that means, that is not through the barrel of the gun. I don't subscribe to that. But what they did was what I was pointing to. So let's go to pages 16 and 20 quickly in the daily graphic. Gyakye Quayson sworn in as MP. We are already aware of that. But then 13 regions take drugs against river blindness and elephantiasis. Now, the Ghana Health Service has started administering drugs to 5.8 million people in 13 regions against 2 neglected tropical diseases as parts of efforts to limit transition. The 2 diseases are onchocerciasis, also known as river blindness, and lymphatic filariasis, better known as elephantiasis. So both of them there, and the havoc these can wreak on you. So this is a very positive development. We're very happy to hear this, especially on the back of the vaccine shortages. We lambasted government, we lambasted the health service. So if there are positives like this, we should also praise them. NPP presidential primary Kwame Asante calls for fairness, and he has been saying that vote on values, principles, people who have them. Don't let money influence you. Then on page 20, back to the Gyakye Quayson situation. AG decries public commentary on court cases, and the AG and Minister of Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame has called on the public to be circumspect in their commentary on court cases in order not to derail the rule of law. In a statement yesterday, Mr. Dame said no one was above the law or immune from prosecution if there was a case against such a person. I agreed with him, but at the same time, I ask myself, in other cases that sort of leaned a certain way, where there was public discourse, why didn't he come out and talk about those ones when they were leaning a certain way? Your reflections, Doc.
Yeah, I will start with the onchocerciasis problem that Ghana Health Service is dealing with. We commend them for a good work done. And then what I want us to be looking at is that we should be able to devote resources to the fight against some of these pandemics. We don't sit down and then wait till the time. That is not to say that Ghana Health Service have been sitting down without doing anything. They are doing their best, but we need to support them with resources. If we stop wasting resources and channel them through these areas, I think it will do this country good. We support them in this effort because I've lived in the rural area before, and I know issue of river blindness and the effect on agricultural production and the rest of them.
Right.
I know that. I'll also move on to Mr. Japon's call that their party should be able to get people who understand the values of the party.
Principles. People who stand for principle. People who are not just trying to influence you with money.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. And I didn't expect anything less than Mr. Japan, who has lived through difficult times, especially from his family history and the rest of them, and his contribution towards the party. I like the way he's speaking, and that without mincing words, coming out and speaking the ills of the party. But my also advice to the party is that now, yes, they want all these things to be done, but this is not the time. You build a party from day one. You don't only recruit or mobilize people, but you educate them about the values, the principles of the party, and that of the country, so that when we are going for such a contest, you are not worried, because people by that time would have imbibed all the socialization processes, and then they will live up to expectation. But when we leave them like that, and we get to the time, and you want them to act in a certain way, I'm afraid. But I hope and pray that they will allow these principles to guide them in the selection of who will succeed President Kufuor when he finally leave office in 2025. Then the AG's call.
Right.
Yes. Yes, it's a good one. But I want everybody to remember that this democracy, we cannot destroy it through comments and outbursts and all that. It's a country of laws, so we must be able to move along with the law. But I also urge the AG that he should also advise the president. He is the lawyer for the president. And that, yes, the president's comment, to say the least, was very worrying. And
you mean the one in Asin North?
Yes. I expect the AG to advise his client, in quote, that's the president, because that's the president's lawyer. And so that that example we'll get from the top. Once we get from the top, we realize that it will sanitize the whole process. That is it. If you read this morning, I was reading Afrobarometer reports on trust that people have with the system, especially the court and all that. The people, 2020, I think the barometer report was on 2020, saying that the president, they believe that their president will abide by the rules of the game, that is the laws of this country at all times. We want our president to respect that, and we want everybody to respect that. Once we do that, and we are all at the same plane, then we'll begin to talk, and we'll talk what. But if there are some people who make statements and nobody can talk to them or can talk about it, then I'm afraid the principle of rule of law is being thrown to the dogs.
All right, let's get into some other stories very quickly, and it's a wrap. Michael Batigma says on the live stream, Joy News, you are the best. Joseph Kujo says it's all about the interest rate. But I got a comment from Professor something. I don't know whether he wants me to mention his name, so I'm not going to mention it. He watches the AM show every day. He says, hi, Ben. The current government has been in all kinds of trouble, and the press has taken them on, rightly. Today, they have done a beautiful Nkrumah Memorial Park, but all your discussion is on what has not been done instead of commending them. I've told you, this show, positive or negative comments, we'll read all of them and then dissect them. The point, though, is that while we have given the president his props, we're just saying, like Oliver Twist, we want more. I don't think I, together with Doc, have said that this is not a good thing. It's a starting point, but we can do more. Doc, I don't know whether you're in agreement.
Oh, no, the same thing. I share the same opinion with you. And that's exactly what we said. We commended the president for that step, but we said that we should also extend it to others who have also paid their dues for this country. That is also fair.
Right. The final newspaper talks about the magnificent Nkrumah Park opening. It is set to attract over 1 million tourists per year. We've already looked at that story. In the Ghanaian Publisher, what we've been talking about the AG cautioning against foul comments is there. Mahama storms Parliament for Kwesi swearing in. So all of those stories related. Then just to cap off the conversation so we can wrap, Doc. Daily Guide. Kafaba witch killers jailed 24 years. Sad situation how we label people witches in this country and go ahead and traumatize them, sometimes end up killing them. But this story, Airbus saga, OSP contacts Interpol UK over Mahama. So that story is on page 3. Now, there is, let me get to it. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has announced that investigations are ongoing regarding the alleged bribery by Airbus SE, a European multinational aerospace corporation, regarding the sale and purchase of military aircraft for the Republic of Ghana, in which former President John Dramani Mahama is allegedly complicit. According to the special prosecutor, the OSP is working with Interpol and the central authorities of the United Kingdom and the United States under the Mutual Legal Assistance Regime to initiate an international arrest warrant for the arrest of some officials, including brother of former President Mahama, for questioning. That is the story, the major one I'll take from the Daily Guide. And then this story on page 3 of the Business and Financial Times. Taxes choking MSMEs. And the tax burden on businesses has been described as excessive by Associate Director, Tax Advisory Service at KPMG, Michael Boateng, who says that most medium and small-scale enterprises are also paying double taxes. You have just about some 40 seconds to reflect on these, Doc, and we're gone.
I will touch on the story about the woman who was killed.
The Kafaba witch killing.
Yes. It's very, very unfortunate that we brand people with all manner of names and then we end up killing them. Why? I mean, who is a witch and who can point to one? It's a difficult one. So I believe that this sentence is a wake-up call to all those who are harboring that ambition, and that the law would deal with them. And then the society must also be vigilant and quickly apprehend those who engage in that and hand them over to appropriate coercive apparatus to deal with them, because it's becoming one too many. And ask those who perpetrate this act, whether their parents are involved, they will be able to do that.
Right.
We unleash this thing on people who are innocent, and that's unfair. We don't build a civilized society like that. Okay. 2, the issue about the Airbus. We have heard this story. And every time we are getting closer to the election, we are likely to hear stories about the Airbus. So last election, you'll recall when this issue came up. Even at the 11th hour, one would have expected the MPP were bringing out that story, that, hey, the Airbus story. Yeah, they chicken out, and it was not part of the campaign. And I questioned that. I said, why? If you believe it is the truth, why don't you bring it even at the 11th hour where it matters most? But I am happy if the OSP said you want to go into that. You should go into that, so that we'll settle this issue once and for all. Because gradually we are losing interest in that story. If there is anything there, we want the OSP to bring it out.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for doing us the honors. It's always so refreshing engaging my former lecturer at the Political Science Department, University of Ghana, and of course also head of the Center for European Studies, Dr. Kwame Asante. God bless you, sir. This message, I've been asking you to send your birthday messages. Ninson says, good morning, Benjamin. A special birthday shout out to Yvonne of Hohoi NMTC. Yvonne, Hohoi NMTC. Yesterday was her birthday, so belated birthday to you from someone special at Agric Bank. Someone special. Hey! This segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. You do know they're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. Just locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumase, Kronomabwehian behind the Angel Educational Complex, the Stakrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siama Nzima. If you'd like to call them, which I prefer, just reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, bringing us to the end of the news review. They say the end to chronic disease. But up next is sports, and there's a whole lot to talk about. Do stay.
Moving on, and former Sports Minister Neil Anti van der Poel has attributed the struggle of the various national teams to a lack of planning. Speaking to Joy Sports, Mr. van der Poel says the national teams are failing at tournaments because of the poor approach to the development of players in the country. He believes that the situation will persist until Ghana adopts a comprehensive plan for the growth of the sport.
You can't just pick people and put them into a team. Look at the English team playing at the European Under-21 Championship. These are boys who have graduated from the Under-17, Under-19, Under-20, and 21. They used to have people like Calvert-Lewin, Solanke, and all those in the team, but they have now moved up to the Under-23 level. You know, Foden, Greenwood, all these people were part of the team, but they've moved on. So the junior ones have come in. In the next 4 years, those who are now playing in the English Under-17 tournament will be there. 2, all the teams, all the premier clubs have junior levels. 21 playing in a league, 19 playing in a league. So the system is built in such a way that there will always be infusion of new, younger faces into the national sphere. What do we see here? Who are we depending on? We wait when we have a tournament, we invite somebody here, we call this person from here, put them together to play. We can never achieve results when we continue to do that. It's like we always plan to fail. And that is not it's not responsible enough. So I am not surprised, because for how long have this team been together? Can you even say they were the best of our Under-23 players around the world? Those days, our boys who played in Under-23 have been together for long. You're talking about the team of the Shamokwe's and the Abladekumes and the Pokus and the rest. They graduated from Under-17, Under-19, Under-21 to Under-23. So it was easy after the Meteors to graduate some of them into the national team. And when they get to the challenges we have, how can we have a sustainable program to be able to make our national teams under 17, under 19, under 21, under 23 enduring?
To women's football, and the Ghana Football Association has officially launched its women's football strategy, and this was done at a ceremony at the Sweet Spirits Alita Hotel in Accra. The strategy was developed by the GFA's Technical Directorate, led by Bernard Leper, and the head of the women's football desk, Amma Brobe Williams. GFA President Kedo Kraku says their aim is to bring football to the doorstep of all aspiring female footballers.
The launch of this strategy is not just an event, it is the declaration of our dedication to gender equality and the spirit of inclusivity. It sends a clear message that women's football matters, and it's time for us to invest in its growth and development. We are committed as the Football Association to providing every young girl in Ghana with equal opportunities, allowing them to dream big and to pursue their passion for football without limitations. This strategy is as a result of extensive research, collaboration, and consultation. It is a roadmap for success encompassing various aspects such as infrastructure development, coaching programs, talent identification, and support systems. Our aim as a football association is to create that environment that nurtures talent, promotes professionalism, and celebrates the achievements of our female footballers. Somebody would ask, so what is the importance of a national strategy for women's football? The strategy for women's football offers a structured development.
In time for preseason, and Mason Mount is a red. Moving on to Declan Rice and what's the latest with him. He is in Arsenal red. The chase has been for a couple months now also. Declan has moved from West Ham, north of £100 million. He instantly becomes one of the most expensive players in the history of football transfers. That's it for the sport. Please join us on our various bulletins for more. And also, there's more information when you head over to myjoyonline.com. On the sports page, there's news on Wimbledon, Tunisia's Onjabeur, through pretending to be Ronaldo. And also Mason Mount news saying that the move from Chelsea is the right one for his career at the moment. The Baby Jet under 16 team of the tournament and the Provisional Dream Team 11 has also been revealed, plus more. Thank you for your time. AM Show continues.
The business community has been battling with high lending rates, utility tariff, inflation, and the introduction of new taxes. Meanwhile, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry at its National Dialogue series described the impact of Ghana's IMF program as crucial to the growth of businesses in the country.
The recent press release by the Ghana Statistical Service also reveals a 2.4% increase in inflation rate from 41.2% in April 2023 to 42.2% in May 2023. Additionally, the labor statistics report released by the Ghana Statistical Service this year highlights approximately 1.76 million individuals were unemployed in the third quarter of 2022. The report further indicates that the transition from informal employment to unemployment is on average 5 times more prevalent than the transition from formal employment to unemployment. This shows that workers are being laid off and the intensity is greater in the informal sector, which employs a greater percentage of the total labor force. The formal sector, on the other hand, is cutting down on production due to costly modalities of laying off workers in the formal sector.
President for the Chamber, Clement Osei-Amoako, stressed on the need for government to cushion the sector in its quest to achieve macroeconomic stability.
The increased cost of doing business is also driving up inflation. These developments depict the hardship businesses are currently facing as a result of these measures. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, given the potential adverse consequences of these reforms on businesses, it is crucial that business operators are well informed about the IMF program and its implication for their operations. It is equally important for them to implement measures that can effectively mitigate the negative impact on our businesses. Hence, the Chamber has taken this initiative to organize this edition of the Chamber National Dialogue. Furthermore, the Chamber is earnestly committed to utilizing this dialogue as an advocacy platform to communicate the concerns of businesses to the government. In line with its mandate, the Chamber intends to actively pursue follow-ups with the government and relevant departments to ensure that these concerns are given urgent consideration, particularly during the upcoming mid-year budget review.
He maintained that government should address challenges with the independent power producers to save most businesses in the country.
With them, they are the independent power producers. And you know, the country cannot produce, have power on their own. So they are the one that augment and sell some to ECG. And what we have is that recently there have been some development that the government is owing them quite a long time, ECG, etc. And I believe that they also need to grow and pay part of their debt. And so, since they are the main source of power to ECG and co, I believe that the government will have to sit down with them and make sure that they settle them at least some percentage. Unfortunately for us, yesterday there was a meeting that there was some agreement that the government was going to pay some percentage to them to sustain the electricity projects that we have in this country. We expect that now that we have met the IMF conditionality and we are seeing growth about 4.2% in the first quarter, we want to make sure that the government really look at the tax issue again, widen the tax bracket and taking away some unnecessary tax out of it. We keep on saying COVID tax in this country and in the rest of the world. If COVID is no more existing and the government still wants to take COVID tax from the industry that have suffered, they really suffered and they are still taking COVID tax from them. The government think that they need revenue. What at all was their constraint? That they would rather take the COVID tax from the people that have suffered or the industry that have suffered over the years because of COVID. It means that you are multiplying the bad effects on them. And so we want the government to look at some of the nuisance tax that could be avoidable and widen it. So this mid-year review is to reassess what they have put in place, those that are not doing well, and listen to the private sector.
Speaking to Joy Business, Director at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Cortis, said he's optimistic Ghana would have a good debt restructuring deal from China and other partners.
We are spending our hard-earned forex in areas that are not really relevant. They are just outcompeting local industries and depleting our forex. There should be some intervention in one way or the other. So yes, regulation is key, and also price stability. Once inflation is under control, it certainly has a knock-on effect on the exchange rate and vice versa.
There's been a lot of conversation with respect to our debt restructuring. Are you optimistic Ghana could get a good debt restructuring from China and other partners, a similar one to that of what we've seen with the Zambia deal?
Well, the external creditors have committed to ensuring debt restructuring. They have agreed. If not, they wouldn't have signed to that memorandum. I think there's a framework memorandum that they have signed on to. So I certainly expect some decency, some decent amount of restructuring to happen. But it's not just about the restructuring. Going forward, what do we do so we don't return to a similar situation in the next decade or two or more, or never at all, that we return to such a painful exercise?
Prof, in few days, we'll be seeing basically the media budget review. I want to know what are some of your expectations, which sectors or areas you think government should this time focus on?
Well, revenue has been our major challenge. So with the coming on stream of the IMF funds, with the coming on stream of the new taxes that have been introduced, I would want to see how much revenue each of the different tax components are yielding. And if there's the need to sustain or continue or make them better, we need the numbers to know whether those new taxes are doing well. If not, what is the way forward? How do we streamline them to ensure that tax collection is efficient? I've seen digitalization processes. We want to see to what extent it is yielding the needed revenue. Then on the expenditure side, we've seen a lot of talks about proposals about cutting down spending. The numbers should show. We want to see how much we have done, how well we have done in terms of cutting down the expenditure, so we ensure fiscal consolidation. Having said all of that, what are the other things that we are doing to stimulate growth within the economy? What other new things are we going to do to support the private sector, make sure they create the enabling environment to absorb the needed jobs? Because we've seen under the IMF program that there's going to be some kind of limitation on wage increases, limitation on employment within the public sector. The private sector certainly has to step in. So they need to be supported in order to reduce unemployment in the country.
Should we have a supplementary budget?
Certainly there should be a supplementary budget because the IMF funds have come in, new taxes have come in. So a review of what we have now and how we are going to allocate those resources is important.
In some few weeks, there have been a lot of conversation with the IPPs going forward. I don't know, a quick one on that particular one.
Yeah, the IPPs, of course, in the program, they said we're not going to accumulate payables in the IMF program. I think there should be conscious effort to stick to that proposal, and the IPPs should be paid as and when the payments arise, so that we can continue to have the power on. I think that statement that they are going to cut power is not good for business, it's not good for economy, it's not, and those kinds of statements should not be made. Government should engage them and make sure they pay or accruals or whatever they owe them, so that we don't make such statement. It affects business confidence, it affects investor confidence.
Ghana in 2023 was ranked 118 among 119 economies in the ease of doing business according to the latest World Bank annual ratings. The rank of Ghana deteriorated to 118 in 2019 from 114 in 2018.
Welcome back on the AM show. And of course, as the rains have hit over the last few months, we have been contemplating what to do, especially here in Accra. When the rains come, we have our hearts literally in our mouths. certain places get flooded. We have quite a situation. Some people have lost their lives already this year. Well, today we have a conversation with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's Director of Public Health. I'm talking of Florence Kuukyi. It's all about what has happened, what we're doing, and what we can actually do moving forward. But to start the conversation off, we're joined by a representative from the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Joseph Potofi is Director of Forecasting. He joins the conversation. Mr. Potofi, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Just walk us through, how much of the season, the rainy season, is left? And in the last week or so, we've not experienced that kind of hard rain that has hit us. But what can we expect over the course of this week? So how much time left in the rainy season for this current season? Because we know there's the other season at the end of the year.
Yes, for the coastal and the middle belt, I think temperatures are showing that we are almost out of the system. However, there are some pockets of development that is occurring along the Guinea coast that may affect it. But we will not be expecting very strong wind, high rains, and the thunderstorm and like. Those things are over now because of the temperatures that we are having along the Guinea coast. However, I can see that the northern part of the country are getting into their major rains. Yeah.
Okay, so we can say for now that we're not going to see heavy rains like we saw about 3 weeks, a month ago. We're not going to be experiencing that. If it's going to rain, it's going to be less heavy, right?
Very well.
Okay, and how much more can we expect in terms of time with the rains within the season?
For now, we are expecting that at least second to third week in July, we should be out of our major rainy season, especially the coastal and the middle belt.
All right, so in some, let's say 2 weeks or less.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what then can we expect of the second major rainy season? I know you can't forecast as of now what it will be like, but we know that while that one tends to be shorter, it is heavier. Around what time can we expect, per your projections, the rains to set in for the second belt? And what can we expect? What normally happens within that cycle?
Yes, by September, we should be expecting the minor rainy season along the coast and the middle belt. And yes, as you said...
Did you mention a month? I think I missed that.
Yes, September.
September, right.
Yeah, September going. We should be expecting the minor rainy season. And though the time is very short, at times it can be very devastating. So when we get there, we'll be looking at how the system is behaving and then we'll advise the public accordingly.
Right. How about the northern belt? You've not specified much about that, and maybe the forest areas, the Bono area, Bono East, the Techiman area as well, among others. What can you say about the forest areas and what they can expect now and moving forward?
Yes, for the hilly areas and the forested areas, yes. For them, some of them will be expecting rain every other day. Some of them will be expecting rain every other day. With the northern part of the country, yes, they are in the season now. So those flash floods that are occurring in the north, we should be expecting those things because the northern part of the country is seriously in the rainy season. When it comes to the coastal areas, yes, and the middle belt, we are getting out of the woods. But the northern part of the country, Tamale, Wab, Poligatanga, and are in the rainy season now. And when it rains heavily in Burkina Faso also, it affects our people downstream. So we need to be prepared for those things.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Potofi. Any final words for us?
Well, Well, what I can say is that, yes, even though we said we are out of the rainy season, we are not completely out. So we should be on our guard, and then those of us who live in the low-lying area and front area should be on the watch and then take precautions when the rains are coming.
Thank you very much. And we were just joined by Joseph Potofi. He is Director of Forecasting with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. Well, let's come into the studio now. You've got the scoop on what to expect as far as the weather is concerned. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks, this rainy season should come to a close. We're not going to have heavy rains like we saw over the last few months. That's a breather. That's a good thing, though the farming community would also be looking forward to the rains. But in the northern belt, like he mentioned, you may be experiencing some rains depending on what happens in Burkina Faso. But the second belt of the rainy season, which is shorter but heavier, is starting in September. So that's just in case you missed it and you just joined. That's a summary of what Joseph Potofi, Director of Forecasting, shared with us. But let's come into the studio now. Florence Kuukyi is Director of Public Health with the AMA. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Every time you join, you add to, how spectacular you look. It's good to know.
Thank you.
But even before we get into the rains, the filth, it often carries along, and our own human activities and all of that. I'd just like to find out from you the Clean Ghana campaign. How is that going?
Thank you so much. Clean Ghana campaign is still ongoing. We are still going around, especially this rainy season. We are trying to demolish structures that are on waterways, illegal structures that are on waterways that are preventing water from flowing. And we are also trying to remove people that have decided to place some kind of containers or kiosks or where they sell food or they sell some provisions on waterways. This is what we are doing. Last 2 weeks we were in Circle. Some structures were broken around on top of the other stretch there. So that is what Clean Ghana is doing. We are seriously on it because we know that if we don't do that, it's going to lead to a lot of hazards. For instance, the people living even on top of the other drain, the bridge there, sometimes when there's much or there's heavy rains, it becomes so flooding. And if we don't remove them from there, it will become a very huge issue for the government to handle. So that is what we are doing.
And in terms of this latest enterprise, I'm sure there's always a pushback when you go around and do this. That area, there are quite a number of squatters as well.
Yeah.
So what has been the reaction of the people? Sometimes you do this, once you move away, some of them return. Yeah. How are you doing this together with your task force, together with the Ghana police? Just walk us through what is happening.
Okay, that is, thank you very much. Talking about squatters around that area, it's really true. And this our part of the world, anything that one wants to do, immediately you want to bring a change, people will start to tag you with different code of colors, telling you are either this or you are either this, and you are anti this or you are anti that. But most at times, we don't look at those things. Our main mandate or our main issue of what we are doing is to ensure that the health of the people is being taken care of.
Right.
Because when it comes, I may not be there, but you will suffer. And when the suffering comes, it will not only affect you alone. Government will have to come in with interventions. Some monies that they will use to do some developmental project will have to be channeled into that. So it's better we don't listen to them and then take the action now for them to see that we are disturbing. But tomorrow, when the effect comes, they will realize that we did them good. So this is a collaborative effort that we do together with the Ghana Police Service because we can't do it alone. We are not in uniform, but the police service are in uniform and they protect us with their uniform to do this thing successfully.
Okay, and in terms of logistics, you always talk about that when you come on the show. And every time you come here, I'll give you the opportunity to talk about that because part of why you don't get to do some of the things you would want to is because of on the back of those logistical constraints. If you have to process someone for court and you have to use your own money.
That is it.
And bought a vehicle and all of that. So just tell us, is it getting any better?
It's not getting any better. It's still the same. It's not getting any better. it's not getting any better. It's as if, that is why...
Why do you think it's not getting any better?
Because when we started this year, you are here. I think you've been covering government donating vehicles to this agency, donating these items to these people. Have you ever heard that they have donated something to the environmental health sector? No.
Are you telling me that while we keep touting making Ghana clean, making Ghana the cleanest city in Africa and all of that, at the same time, we're not even investing resources in our sanitation sector to ensure that we can meet those targets?
Investing resources in the sanitation sector, let me say, the sector, the resources have been, let me say, for instance, the garage project is a long-term flood improvement infrastructure. It is there, they are working on it. But when you put the resources on the project, and then you leave the people who are supposed to supervise to ensure that the project is done well, sometimes there are lapses. For instance, environmental health officers and, for that matter, waste management practitioners are the key to sanitation in the country. But when it comes to taking care of these key officers in the country, it is not done. Environmental officers are being left out at the hood. It's like when anybody is doing something, then they realize that we are going into the community. We need the environmental officers because they are with the people. Then they come for you. But the government is not trying to come all out and say, yes, these are people that we have opened schools and we are training them. They are coming out. Let's resource them to do the work we want them to do. Always, I say that any country that relegates the environmental officers at the back is not going to succeed in sanitation problems. Until you see that the people who are supposed to combat the success of sanitation problem, you work with them, then you come to what? The success that you are looking for. We want to combat crime. We've seen that they are resourcing the police officers, that is the internal crime. They are resourcing them. They are giving them uniform. They are giving them motorbicycle. They are giving them cars. They can use it to do what? To go around and do everything. But when it's come to, we want to combat sanitation, we want to combat environmental health. And the environmental health officers are being left at the back. When you bring, if there's not a project, environmental officers are not going to get anything from the government and say, this is a logistics or a resource that the government is giving in the name of environmental or embossing it. Ghana Environmental Health Office, use this. Unless there is a project. Without that, the environmental officer is just there. We are paddling our own canoe, trying as much as we can to ensure that we help in the sanitation issues to bring the country to be one of the cleanest cities as we are all looking for.
So, even more disturbing, because we've had this phenomenon in across the country, but especially here in Accra for a long time, and we're back.
Yes.
You know, year on year, and you can't just fault this administration, though the talk has been big about, like I said, making Accra the cleanest city and all of that. And just last year, I recall how Mr. President was talking about some of these things. We had dredging activities start, and then here we are, the rains have come again, and we are where we are. But this has been a progressive problem for decades. Systemic, we've not addressed it. The rains have hit. And we've already seen flooding and a lot of the menace. How difficult has it been for you in the midst of this rainy season to tackle some of these problems? And don't forget, it will be back in September, even worse.
Yes. So let me say, rainy season is a season that that leads to so much flooding and then accumulation of waste. In the city of Accra, we generate about 2,500 tonnage of waste a day. And out of these 2,500 tonnage of waste that we generated a day in the Accra city, about 87% of it is being collected. And Ghana is trying as much as possible to move from the linear waste management system into the circular economy waste management system. So the remaining 13 tons or 300 tonnage of waste that we see in there, that is what is causing the problem. And when it starts to rain, I don't know whether people have huge or stores of refuse in their homes. That's the time people come out to dispose of refuse through the rain waters, forgetting that what they are doing at the mainstream. Maybe in Accra metropolis, we are trying as much as possible to prevent some of these things. But the issue is we are at the receiving end. So whatever somebody does at the upper side comes down to cause a problem for us. And that is what we are seeing. So it's really difficult because Accra Metropolitan Assembly, at least if we don't have at all, we should have about 3 or 4 compact trucks that will help in evacuating refuse in the city.
How many do you have now?
Let me say we have 3.
3.
We have 3, but as in all the 3 are in good shape is another question.
So in what shape are they?
So I'm not sure, but I know that 2 are working. 1 is not in good shape. 1 is not in good shape. And then also looking at the distance from Accra to where we dispose of the refuse is also another one. In Accra, we don't have a landfill site due to a site issue. So waste is being transported from Accra to Insumia in the eastern region. And you
wow.
Yes.
From Accra to the eastern region?
Yes, to Insumia. That is how...
But that will be quite a strain on logistics.
That is it.
Is it because the landfill sites and others in Accra are no longer usable, so to speak?
The landfill sites were not properly managed. We don't have a well-engineered landfill site in Accra. So that is why we are bringing in the waste separation, the waste segregation. So that when you segregate your waste into recyclable and non-recyclable, the recyclable ones will become a resource for you, the generator. We are now making people to see that the waste that they are generating is not something bad. Yeah. It becomes bad when it is not properly managed. But when you manage it well, it becomes a resource in transit. So now, you can imagine what people are doing. They are just pushing everything into the drain. And some too, when you go to some communities, they put metal wires or metal gauze inside the drain between their homes and then the other side to prevent any runoff debris into their place. So when the runoff gets to stuck behind the metal gauze, then it also leads to another issue. So we ourselves, we are also causing the flooding that we are seeing. So when you segregate your waste, we have people that buy paper. We have people that buy plastic. And then the non-recyclable one, that is the organic one, you can also use it to make compost. And this compost can be used to green our open spaces. So the government alone cannot manage waste because waste is generated by everybody. And if everyone generates waste, we must all manage it together so that we can have 100% waste management system to have a cleaner city as we are looking up to.
But here's where, while we have collective responsibility when it comes to waste management, here's where I always say that our institutions can do more. Sometimes I get tired of saying government this, government that. But you see, it's like taxation. Yeah. It's like the law. If you provide loopholes, people will fill those loopholes. They will find ways of passing through them. Yeah. In other jurisdictions, there are things you cannot do when it comes to waste management and all of that. Why do you go to other places and everyone has a bin? They go to the nearest. Yes, you may see filth in some secluded areas, but everything is regimented. If the days of Tankasi, town council, why were people more compliant then in the past? And today, with technology and access to so much, why are they less compliant? So that is where I usually have a problem. We have too many squatters in town, but there's also the economic situation and people not being able to. So it's quite a convoluted conversation. I don't know, from where you sit, you are in the thick of sanitation, waste management. What do you think we can do in that regard?
You see, you just mentioned during the time of the Tankasi, people were compliant, but now the compliance has reduced. Me sitting here, I am a chief Tankasi. Oh yeah, I'm a chief Tankasi. I go around to do sama to take action against people. But gone were the days when the government, those Tankasi used to have 100% backing from the government. The government used to see Tankasi as a key player in sanitation, in environmental health, in public health. I'm not saying now the government is not seeing it, but the resources or the logistics that were being given to the then Tankasi is no more than. That time the Tankasi was with the Ministry of Health. Because so whatever was being provided, Ministry of Health, the Tankasi has their own. But now, the Tankasi has been removed from the Ministry of Health to the local government ministry. And when we even came to the local government ministry, now we don't even know where we are. We don't have a head at the local government ministry. We don't have a head at the local government service, the local government service there. And then the Ministry of Sanitation is not. We are not also having a head at the Ministry of Sanitation because we don't belong to the Ministry of Sanitation. So now the environmental health officer under the local government ministry is stranded. We don't even have a budget on our own. We depend on the central administration budget. How can we go forward? But then, gone were the days when the environmental officer has their own budget. That comes that this amount of money is for this, is for that, is for this. And then it's being released for them. Now, information flow is not there. We don't have anybody at the local government ministry. So when you even write your report and you have your challenges at the district level, when you channel it to the regional level, it ends there because there's nobody at the top there that will collate it and go to, let me say, departmental meetings at the national level where the minister is. To tell the minister that these are the challenges the environmental officers are facing in the communities that they will be attended to. So these are some of the things that we are facing. So not until the government sees that the environmental health officers are still the same environmental officers that they used to support some time back, and they were getting a lot of resource. We are still the same. Nobody will get up and dress and go to work and say, I will not work. They are not giving us much as they can, but we are trying to do the little that we have with. We are not sitting aloof.
Let me ask you, Florence. You've said this time and again, and I'd like to find out, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been with the AMA? I just want to be able to wrap my mind around how long you've had to deal with this kind of situation. How long have you been?
I have been an environmental officer for the past 22 years now. Let me say
22 years?
Yes, I'm going to 22 years. I've been an environmental officer for getting to 22 years.
You started doing this sometime in 2001 or 2002?
2002. I started doing this somewhere 2002.
Of course, you were not immediately director of public health.
Exactly.
But you've seen the frustrations.
I've seen the frustrations since 2002 till now.
Wow.
You understand? And I came to AMA in 2018, and we are still struggling with the same thing. So where did we go wrong? Is it that when we were brought from the Ministry of Health to local government ministry that we went wrong? If that is it, then they should send that back to our mother ministry so that we know where we belong to. So when they are talking about human health, environmental health is there. It's a branch of public health. Then it is there. So because we are supposed to decentralize and be with the people at the grassroots, and the logistics are not coming, then the accounts will say yakoya na yabai.
So 2002 thereabout, sanitation officer, but with the AMA since 2018.
Yes, please.
And all through, these are the frustrations.
These are the frustrations.
In other words, you're saying here and now that if we don't change these structures, the system in place, we're going to keep playing this game. I mean, yes. I want us to put this into context, Ghana, because we keep saying we're going to work at ending flooding, especially in Accra, which has become perennial. It means if we continue like this, we might as well go to sleep and forget dealing with the flooding situation, right?
Yes, because if let me say you are working on a flooding issue at the local government ministry that is hosting this huge long-term infrastructure flood mitigation project, and there's no environmental health officer at the Ministry of Local Government. There are environmental officers at the Ministry of Sanitation, but there should be collaboration. There should be somebody at the local government ministry who is also sitting there with the project coordinating unit and collaborating with those at the Ministry of Sanitation so that we come together to be able to make it work. So if you think that you will not create a place, we were moved from the Ministry of Health from 1994 to the local government ministry. And that is where the whole thing started.
I am a bit curious. Over the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years, in terms of the work you do and the rains hitting, have you seen any improvement in what you do versus... I get it, you have the logistical constraints, but are we at least making any progress?
Sure, we are making progress because before the rain set in, we have our activities that we do. We have the long-term activities and the short-term activities. Some of the short-term activities, what we do is per information from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, we get to realize that this is the time the rains are getting in. Then we come in with awareness creation, education, and then sensitization campaigns in the community. We go to churches, we go to the market centers, all public areas to educate them on how to manage their waste or how to be able to ensure that they don't lead to or they don't help in the flooding that we get. Maybe you need to manage your waste in this manner. You don't dispose of your waste into the drain. You have to do A, B, C, D. So we do that. Then we come in with drain desilting. Then we desilt and maintain all our drains. Then we map up the flood-prone areas. And that is where we intensify the education. So when you look at this year, some time back, you could see that around Kaneshi, first flood, there used to be a lot of flooding. But now all those things are things of the past. So we cannot get it 100%, but we started somewhere and we are getting somewhere. And I believe and know that in a short future, we will also get there.
Right, in the near future. I mean, even if bit by bit we're getting there, it's just that we must accelerate this. Because if you look at the cost, global warming, climate change, what it's doing to our weather, and what the cost of not dealing with flooding is going to give us in the near future, then it makes a lot more sense to invest those sums of money to curb flooding, and then we can save lives, property, and all of that. But again, I'd just like to find out, do you get criticized, do you get negative feedback from even the institutions you deal with sometimes because you come on this show and talk about some of these things?
We are in the human institution. It's not everybody that will like what we are doing. But
because you're obviously making some people uncomfortable.
Yes, it's not everybody that will like what you are doing. But me, what I say is, if I know what I'm doing, I am on the right path. I am not listening to those who are criticizing me. So, because when you criticize me, it means I'm doing something good. You make me to do the right thing. No, when a tree is not ripe, nobody will throw a stone on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. That's an interesting proverb you just put in there. I have a comment for you, though. This one is from Seth Owusu-Kumi, who says, and I can't read the end of what he says because I don't feel it's justified, but he says, Mr. Akakpo, the problem is not logistics. Give them everything they need. They will take them home. We are in an integrity crisis. Is that also reflective of part of the problem that some of your officials, when logistics are given, you personalize them? I mean, I've known that this is true in some state agencies and even in private entities. Is this true as well for the AMA?
I don't think somebody will give me a vehicle or a transport to use it for monitoring. I'll take the transport and go and put it in my house and come and be working.
Well, we've seen it happen before.
I haven't seen. I mean,
maybe not with the AMA, but we've seen it in other institutions.
And I don't think you will give me money for, let me say, prosecutions, and I'll go and spend that money, and then go and rent a taxi and send a sanitation defaulter to court, and then the same thing, send a sanitation defaulter and pay the money and send the person to prison. Or go and put somebody behind the police station and use my own money to go and feed the person. Maybe that is what he is thinking, but I don't think it is real. Because where there comes the FABI Mensa womb, but it is just a minute that could be that, but it is not.
So the rains are, thankfully, this first season is coming to an end. What would you say your achievements have been within this season? Oftentimes we are sitting ducks because we wait, the season catches up with us, and then, hey, we are running around like headless chickens.
Yeah.
What are the gains for this season, and what are your projections? What are you going to do ahead of the next rainy season?
Yeah, so let me say all thanks be to the central government. They've been able to secure this fund that the Greater Accra Resilient Integrated Development Project is working on. So a lot of drains are being built. What will I say? Both secondary and primary drains are being built. So they are making way. They are building retention ponds somewhere to also ensure that when the runoff water from the higher side comes down, they can retain there for some time for releasing bit by bit. And I think this year, we've not even experienced much flooding due to that project. And as I said, it's a long-term project. And by the time it ends, maybe somewhere 2026, flooding is going to be a thing of the past. So it will not just be totally. Once a while, some fluctuations will come.
I mean, even in developed economies, once in a while. But there it is highly torrential rain.
Yeah. So I think we are making a headway. And about 2 to 3 years, we will not sit here discussing Ghana, Accra flooding again.
How I wish that were now.
Yes,
because we've had these conversations since for about 2 to 3 years, we won't sit here to discuss about flooding in Accra again. And I know the government also do the needful to see the environmental officers as key players and make sure that as much as the infrastructure is going on, the logistics for the technical officers to also do their due will also be given to, and then we will all be in a happy mood, in a clean city, devoid of any flooding in the country. How much is allotted to you? How much was allotted to you this year?
As I said, environmental officers, we are not even a department in the assembly. You become a department, you have an amount allotted to you when you become a department. Your budget is with the central administration. So I cannot say I may have a budget about 3,000 or 30,000 for the year to do 1, 2, 3. But if I write the memo and it goes to the central administration, there's money, it will be given to me. But if there's no money, it will not be given because monies from the central government is given to department to manage. But if you are not a department and you are a unit, and that is why I even say there is a structural anomaly here. When you go to the assembly level, we are under the health. The health is a department, and the environmental health is a unit under the health. But the health hasn't decentralized to the local government ministry. So how are we a unit under a different ministry? So you can see the anomalies that are there. So until they correct all these things, we will continue to be where we are.
Yours is it's like a Pandora's box. Your problems are many.
I'm telling you.
Well, this one also.
But
we thank God that you're so strong and you do the work that you continue doing for God and country. Before your final words, though, how close would you say we are to making Accra the cleanest city in Africa?
We are almost there.
Almost?
We are almost there in making Accra the cleanest city. As I'm speaking with you, we are having an international conference going on. We started on Monday, we'll finish tomorrow, God's willing. Being organized by C40 cities on solid waste management financing. And it is solid waste management. It's not only in Ghana. It's a critical issue in almost all the countries around. And we have about 7 or 8 countries that has come together on this conference or training that we are going through to ensure that when we go back to our various countries, we replicate what we've been taught and how to help in waste management financing to see that we have cleaner city. When I see Ghana, we are trying Asin because other countries at the 21st century, they are still practicing linear waste management. But we are practicing the circular economy. Generation, separation, transport, treatment before final disposal. I think we are making a headway.
We're close. We're making a headway.
We are making a headway.
And I'm sure if we invested more resources, we'd be able to even accelerate this further.
Yeah.
Your final words, but one last thing came to mind. So as you give us your final words, I'd like you to rope it in. We've spent a lot as a nation on open defecation in terms of health, in terms of prevention, in terms of the consequences. What is Ghana's state when it comes to open defecation? What do you see when you go out there? Because it also feeds into the health and sanitation conversation.
Yeah, I can say Ghana open defecation is reducing because due to the implementation of this Gamma project, now it has been rolled to Kumasi. They are also having another fail of this project there. And there are other NGOs that are also rolling out, UNICEF and others that are also rolling out in the northern sector and the middle belt. So I think gone were the days when we were doing open defecation count. Within a period of about 5 minutes, you should count not less than 30 people coming to do open defecation. But now the open defecation count has reduced. You go maybe within a period of 5 minutes, you can get about 3 or 4 people coming to do their own thing. And when we even go out to do the open defecation arrest, maybe when we go out, we could arrest not less than 20 people at a go. But now it is reducing. People are coming to realize they need to own a toilet and they need to use a public toilet. Though public toilet is not for people who are living within the communities, but that is what we are beginning to see. And even how are these public toilets managed? That is another thing. We have some of the public toilets that are open defecation in disguise. So it is still our duty to ensure that people manage their public toilet properly for those that do not have toilet and they are visiting it. Everybody uses a public toilet every day. As I've come here, if I want to use your restroom, it's a public restroom because it is not from my house. A lot of people uses it. How do we manage it? And that is why the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, we have come out with the star rating public toilet program.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know of that.
Yeah, we have come out with the star rating. We've been training the public toilet operators for some time now. So now we have come out with the star rating. We come around, we inspect. There are things that we need to see. And then the hygiene audit too, we do it and we see how contaminated or how bad your toilet. Then we'll rate you. We are rating from a 3rd to 5-star. Then we give you either if you are in the 5-star and it means everything of yours is okay, we'll give you a green tag. It means your work is good. It does not have any form of contamination with people who are patronizing it. If you are also coming a bit maybe yellow, but when we give you a red a sticker, it means we are closing down the toilet and prosecuting you for court or making you to do the needful before it will be open for you. So this is where we have gotten to. So I think the open defecation bit is reducing.
All right.
Yeah.
Florence, we're grateful that when we call on you, you always show up for these conversations and keep up with the good work you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Florence Kuukyi is Director of Public Health with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. She joined us for a conversation, an update basically on our status, our situation currently, and what we can look forward to in the coming months. She gives a positive outlook when it comes to Accra being the cleanest city in Africa. We're almost there, but we better get there, shouldn't we? It shouldn't just be a dream. We should actually get there. Stay with us on the AM show. When we return, there's a lot more. We're talking to you about owning your house or owning your home. And we're back with the Joy News Habitat Fair for 2023. Year in, year out, we do this. This is opening weekend. This weekend, all roads lead to the Achimota Retail Center. We'll be bringing you the scoop on that as we host our guests. We'll be right back on the AM show.
Hi there, trust you're doing well. Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubeidulansa, and before we start with our conversation, I just want to remind you that water is life. Awake is premium purified drinking water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all purposes, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who want more. Our 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for homes and offices. All you must do now is drink Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake Purified Drinking Water today and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Now, remember that for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's a quality product by Kasapreko Company Limited. Here's what to do if you want to get it in bulk. Just call 026 2351 251 026 2351 251. This advert is FDA approved, and we are in that season again where we bring you all the stakeholders in the housing industry to give you the best of deals, the best of advice, the best of products. And this morning, I am very pleased to be hosting, and she's a regular if you're somebody who follows Journey's Habitat Fair. She's always here with us every season, Mrs. Dorothy Kwashi. She's Executive Director, Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, and she's looking very elegant in her green this morning. Good morning to you, ma'am. Trust you're doing well. Trust you're doing well?
Doing very well.
Great. And we also have Elizabeth Owusu JB, who is PRO of Interplast Ghana Limited. Great to have you here once again.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we are discussing a very topical issue this year, and it has to do with factors influencing home ownership in Ghana. So that's the location and the type of house that you may want to purchase. So let me start with you, Interplast, because you come in very handy when we want to do our plumbing works, our irrigation, all that. For you, how does what you provide fit into this concept of choosing a home, location, or even the type of home that you want to purchase?
Well, thank you so much. As you already said, when you mention Interplast, we have all the products you can think of when it comes to building. We have the plumbing, that's our pipes. We have the Everlast, our windows and doors, and then we have our irrigation. So we say a one-stop shop for all these materials. When you want to purchase your home, first of all, I think clients or people will look out for the location, as you mentioned. And the location, when we talk about location, security comes in mind. Me, for instance, or any individual will want to make sure that the house they are purchasing is secure, the environment in terms of crime is very low or none at all. So I would look out for security first. I also look out for the amenities within the facility. When we talk about electricity, source of water, all these facilities should be available. And most of all, one of the most important things people look out for when we talk about location is how close this facility is to their office.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
When we look at the traffic situation in our country now, I wouldn't want to live as far as Oyarifa and then have to commute to Spintex every day. That is going to bring a lot of financial burden onto me. So I would look for a house that is around Spintex or East Legon, because that's closer to Spintex. So the location matter a lot in this situation as well.
For you, ma'am, Elegant Homes, they produce elegant homes. And what comes to mind readily for you when a client comes and says, I'm looking for a house, but I'm wondering how to factor in location and what type of house I should go for?
Well, to start with, our properties are located at Amrahia, Katamanso, off the Adenta Dodowa Road. And anybody who comes to me to tell me you are looking to buy a property from us within the gated estate tells me that the person actually wants to live within the estate. It means that to that person, that location is perfect. Now, what comes to mind also is the security bits and the environment, and then the aesthetic designs also, because people look out for certain things
before they purchase. They look at the workmanship. How is the house finished? What are the materials that are used? Are they good materials? They also look at comfortability. How spacious, how airy, and then they look at the facilities. You look at whether you have drains there, you have sewer system, you have water, you have electricity, which we do have in the estate as well. Are the roads tarred? Do you experience flood when it rains? So these are some of the reasons why people choose us. They choose us because of what we offer, the space, the quality of work, the serenity of the place, and the security we provide.
What you just said reminds me of a conversation I had with an acquaintance about why she went for a facility in a gated community. And for her, that sense of security, that sense of even her kids having a place to play and know that they're safe. There's no vehicle that is going to come out of nowhere to, run over them, or, nobody would likely coming to pick them up. And then also, one thing she said that really struck me was, I know who my neighbor is. And excuse my language, nobody's putting up a kiosk. Because sometimes you may find a nice house and then the neighbor is somebody living in a kiosk and you don't even know what they do because the community is not gated, it's not controlled and all that. So that's a very important point Ma'am makes. But let's look at the role of the client in the value chain of home ownership and home building and all that.
Well, in buying a home, it's a huge money or investment one needs to put in. So the client actually is the one who has to go for the finance bit of it because they pay for the home. So we, the material or providers and all that, we all live up to what the client decides. Our choice of products or what we finally bring out in terms of the quality, the standards are all based on the client specifications. So the client has a big role to play in what we also bring out as the final product because it's based on research to determine what the client wants. It's based on the quality they want. It's based on the amount of money that they are ready to spend. So based on these bringing all these factors in place, we're able to come out with what the client actually wants. So we have the financial bit, and then we also have the quality and the standards that they want. Yes, and sometimes, as my fellow colleague said earlier, the environment in which the facility also is stated all plays a role, and it's the clients that determine all these things, and then we put it into the finished products and deliver to them.
All right, I'll be coming back for you to share with us in detail what you have on offer for those who would patronize this event. But let me come to you. We've had these conversations over time and how you value the client and their input even in some of the designs. Even though you have general designs, there are some opportunities to do tailor-made stuff for your clients. For you, what is the role of the client in this entire value chain of home or housing?
Well, the role of the client is very important because at the end of the day, you are building the houses for people to buy. That is why aside our designs that we have created this environment where clients can even walk in and can choose an existing model or design of ours and have it customized to suit their individual taste. We also give room for clients to choose their finishes. Some can tell you, there's this special kitchen I want. Yes, you can bring that one and then we'll fix it for you. In fact, when we even build from scratch, you have the opportunity to choose the type of tiles you want. We will give you a range of our standard tiles and then clients can choose from. Or you can also bring your design, specific design, or Elegant Homes can design specifically to suit you. So we are with you right from the design stage throughout the building and the finishing stage.
I like it, and I also like the greenery. It's just heartwarming to see that you pay attention to the aesthetics, not only for the building, but for the greenery and the environment. It's a beautiful thing, I must say. So our first clinic is coming off from the 7th to the 9th of July at the Achimota Retail Center. And when you come, you meet Elegant Homes and you meet Interplast. So let me start with you again, Interplast. What do you have on offer at this year's event, and why should we be excited to come and see you?
Okay, as Interplast does every year or every exhibition we participate, Interplast brings the physical products onto the stand. So visitors or clients coming through the exhibition gets to see the real product, gets to feel it. We are also going to have technicians, we are going to have expertise on board so that they can advise you right on the stand. You don't need to book appointment to come to the office to get all these done. You can exchange ideas because we also use the platform to research what clients need. So we have available our varieties, the colors also, the mechanisms that we have, everything will be on our stand. And we are also offering a nice discount as we do all the time. So if you pass by our stand, you also get a 10% discount right there on your product. We also do measurement as well. And as my colleague said, with their Elegant Homes, we also custom make our windows and doors. Okay. We also have these irrigation system for your lawn. So if you buy an Elegant Home, we can also make our irrigation systems available so that you can maintain the green in the environment that you live in. And our windows also, as we said, come in variety of designs. And then we have this one-on-one chat with the client, where the client also tells us exactly what they want, and then we produce to their specification. You know, Interplast, when it comes to quality, we do not compromise on that. So we are there to show the client or visitors the quality products that Interplast have available.
Now, and we're seeing on our screens the quality that she's talking about and the hard work that goes into producing the different things that Interplast does. So you're in an Everlast shirt.
Yes.
Just so people don't get confused, Everlast is a product of Interplast.
Yes, yes. Everlast is a product of Interplast. Everlast is where we do the custom windows and doors, UPVC windows and doors, all made right here in Ghana.
So buy made in Ghana. So when you visit Interplast to buy your stuff, then you pass by Elegant Homes because they've also got a very beautiful package for you, ma'am. Share with us what you have for our viewers, and you also make windows as well, right?
Yes, we do. Okay. We do make UPVC windows, so it will be there for people to see. And aside that, we are also giving 10% on our homes. You get to enjoy a video doorbell in your home. You get to enjoy a fitted kitchen with appliances, and then many more. Understand, you will see our videos. All that is rolling out are real side videos. So you come, you meet the team, you talk to us, let us know what you want, what you can afford, and I'm sure you'll get something of your choice from Elegant Homes.
I really love these homes. I can see a swimming pool somewhere. Okay, so that comes. Oh, it's do you have? Is it a community thing or it's for an individual home?
An individual home.
Okay, I'll see you after. You have to talk about it because this one looks very nice. Do you have plans? Because you said, tell us what your budget is, and we'll see how. Do you have a system where people can pay in installment, or it's a down payment, outright payment?
we have different types of payments plan.
Okay.
The first is outright purchase or cash, as we all say, and that is what every business woman will be interested in. And then we have mortgages. You know, we are partners with EcoBank, Cal Bank, Republic Bank, and any bank of their client choice. You pay a deposit of 20%, and the bank will finance the remaining for you and spread on monthly basis between 10 to 15 years and maximum 20 years. And then we have another payment plan that we have termed personal self-financing, and that is for those who want to pay without going in for a mortgage. You can do 50%, you can do 30%, and then you can pay within 12 to 18 months or maximum 2 years.
Terms and conditions apply. So come and see the team at the first clinic, which will be happening from the 7th to the 9th of July at the Achimota Retail Center. Would love to see you. Why not? I know that some of you are saying times are hard, you know, when we're going to get the money from, but that's why they have beautiful packages for you. And these people, they are not from China or US. They live in Ghana, so they understand the time. So don't worry. This is made in Ghana just for you. And so we've got you covered. Any final words, ma'am, as we wrap up our conversation?
Okay, so what we want to tell visitors that they should join us, and so that we can help them transform their vision into reality, and also to help them transform their home with our quality UPVC windows and doors, and to give them the best technical advice they can ever receive.
It's important. Sometimes all you need is advice because you're confused initially. So come. This is Elizabeth Owusu-JB. Write her name. Look for her when you come. Say, if you get there and she's not there, ask them to call her for you.
I will be there myself.
All right, definitely.
Yes.
All right. And so your final words, ma'am, Mrs. Dorothy Kuukyi, CEO of Elegant Homes, providing us elegant homes over the years. Tell us why we should be a part of this package and why you'd love to see us.
Yeah, I would like to see everyone who is interested, because shelter is key in the lives of everyone. And if you are looking forward to owning a property, not just a property, but a home you can live in and enjoy and feel comfortable, then I encourage you to pass by on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come to us, I'll be there. Come and talk to us. Anything about housing, anything you want to see in a home, technical advice and whatever. Come and talk to us. It doesn't matter whether you want to buy a property now, but don't forget, an advice today will go a long way to help you in the choice of house you purchase someday. You can reach us before the fair. If you want to contact us, you can call us on 0244 699 053, or you can send us an email at sales@eleganthomesgh.com, or visit our website www.eleganthomesgh.com.
Nice. Do you want to drop any contact numbers
Yes,
as well?
Interplast is on the Spintex Road. You can also reach us on 0302 819 000. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on also on Twitter. You can also find us on LinkedIn. We have all our advertising rolling up there. If you also want to visit our website to have detailed information on all our products, you can visit www.interplast.com. And you are welcome any day from 8 to 5 p.m. on the Interplast.
All right.
Yes.
That's wonderful. I know that for many of you watching, you are making a choice either to buy a home or to build. Your rent is about ending. You're wondering what the next step is. And for many of us, it's either a choice between affordability, comfort, or luxury. And that's the theme for this year's event: affordability, comfort, or luxury. Or maybe, as I like to say, you can have all of it in one, can't we? It's possible.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we'll see you from the 7th to the 9th of July at the Achimota Retail Center. Come and talk to our exhibitors. See what's available and then make that choice for yourself and your family. That'll be it for our conversation this morning on our upcoming event, the Joy News Habitat Fair. I was joined by Mrs. Dorothy Kuukyi, Executive Director of Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, and Elizabeth Owusu-JB, who is a PRO of Interplast. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, we've got a lot more here on the AM show. Please stay with us. Thank you so much. Because you're confused initially. So come. This is Elizabeth Owusu-JB. Write her name. Look for her when you come. Say, if you get there and she's not there, ask them to call her for you.
I will be there myself.
All right, definitely.
Yes.
All right. And so your final words, Mrs. Dorothy Kuukyi, CEO of Elegant Homes, providing us elegant homes over the years. Tell us why we should be a part of this package and why you'd love to see us.
Yeah, I would like to see everyone who is interested, because shelter is key in the lives of everyone. And if you are looking forward to owning a property, not just a property, but a home you can live in and enjoy and feel comfortable, then I encourage you to pass by on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come to us, I'll be there. Come and talk to us. Anything about housing, anything you want to see in a home, technical advice and whatever, come and talk to us. It doesn't matter whether you want to buy a property now, but don't forget, an advice today will go a long way to help you in the choice of house you purchase someday. You can reach us before the fair. If you want to contact us, you can call us on 0244 699 053, or you can send us an email at sales@eleganthomesgh.com, or visit our website www.eleganthomesgh.com.
Nice. Do you want to drop any contact numbers?
Yes, Interplast is on the Spintex Road. You can also reach us on 0302 819 000. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on also on Twitter. You can also find us on LinkedIn. We have all our advertising rolling up there. If you also want to visit our website to have detailed information on all our products, you can visit www.interplast.com. And you are welcome any day from 8 to 5 p.m. on the Interplast.
All right. That's wonderful. I know that for many of you watching, you are making a choice either to buy a home or to build. Your rent is about ending. You're wondering what the next step is. And for many of us, it's either a choice between affordability, comfort, or luxury. And that's the theme for this year's event: affordability, comfort, or luxury. Or maybe, as I like to say, you can have all of it in one, can't we?
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we'll see you from the 7th to the 9th of July at the Achimota Retail Center. Come and talk to our exhibitors. See what's available and then make that choice for yourself and your family. That'll be it for our conversation this morning on our upcoming event, the Joinees Habitat Fair. I was joined by Mrs. Dorothy Kuukyi, Executive Director of Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, and Elizabeth Owusu-Jebi, who is a PRO of Interplast. Thank you.
Thank
ladies,
you
for
having us.
Well, we've got a lot more here on the AM show. Please stay with us. Thank you so much.
The Wahen Tumu Road project for over 30 years has been on the budget of every government that has ruled this country. All governments in the Fourth Republic have cut short for at least a portion of the road to be constructed. The irony, however, is that none has been able to complete the 142 kilometers road. Joseph Canton started using the road at a tender age some 70 years ago. Attended Laura Middle Boarding.
I attended Laura Middle Boarding. That was from 1961 to 65. And I used the road a lot. If anybody told me that as of today, this road is going to be in this deplorable state, I will say it's a mirage. Because Kasajan was one of the best person, one of the first contractors who went on this road. And what happened? You know, since then, they have been scraping the road. And I think that thing even contributed to the poor, the nature, the way this road is now.
This was the very road that my father used some 60 years ago to go and dowry my mother at Walambele. 60 years on, the road is even in a much deplorable state. The question that the people are asking, when will this road project be completed? Construction of the road project began 2 decades ago at the one end of the road by Usua Ghana Limited, and later awarded on piecemeal to Lebanese-based Ghanaian contractor P&W Ghanem Limited. At least the latter has graded, re-gravelled, fixed broken culverts, and tarred over 50 kilometers of the road with bitumen. 76 kilometers of the road project is now left to be fixed and is now an albatross hanging on the neck of the government. It is bumpy, deplorable, and replete with corrugation. The west part of the road is located between Hen and Ndowala and is filled with numerous manholes and gullies. You can see that the videos are shaky. That clearly means that the road is just not good. We are moving from one pothole to the other, meandering through some of them, the ones that we could dodge, and that's exactly what is happening. And that's why the videos are really shaking. We're uncomfortable, even sitting at the back of the pickup. You can see that the vehicles are coming, and they are now avoiding the road, and they are now using the shoulders of the road to come into the main road, because the road is such in a deplorable state. And so even vehicles as Land Cruisers, Prados and whatever cannot even ply that route. How much do you talk about rickety vehicles? I can count as many as 13 gullies right here on this road. So let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on this stretch of the road, which is about 20 meters right here on this road. Passengers and also drivers are not having it easy to ply the route, and they are appealing to the government to come to the aid of the people.
Myself, you have to go and change your absorber very often because the road, the nature of the road is very difficult. Well, I'm using a pickup, but it is still very tough on the car. So we are appealing to the government that whatsoever they have to do to make sure that these roads are done, because this area, Sisala East and West, is a good hub for cereals, soya, maize, and millet, and we have to transport the item to the city centers to help cushion prices, and because of that, prices are escalating.
You see how the colonial government was looking at this, and usually they used to, the postcards used to be on this road, and they will make sure that the mills will get back to all the places at why is it that today, even if our postal system is even failing, but at least this road should have been in a better order than now.
Community members jubilated in silence when road minister Kwame Asante got stranded on the road when his Land Cruiser had a flat tire. They thought that was a turning point.
I'm told you had a puncture in JFC, yeah. That is Honorable's car, V8. Okay, so let's relate that to the plight of our people. We've been in this mess for the past 3 or 4 decades.
Unknown to them, it was a message to brace themselves for the worst when the heavy rain sets in. The people of Londawala, since 2017, have craved, yearned and prayed for the government to construct one of the dams for the One Village, One Dam project in their community. Government wouldn't listen to their plea. However, by providence, they have gotten one in here, located on their road.
You drive, the road is so bad. You don't even know whether it's pond or a swimming pool or whether it's a dam. It is very, very terrible.
Wisdom, though, is into share nut business and depends on the road to keep his business afloat. He said the recent rains has exposed the inactivity of the contractors on site.
It was quite better. We were able to plow quite faster. It's a short distance, but now that the rains have set in, it is so difficult. It is so difficult. We have to spend over an hour on a less than 40-kilometer road.
The government said that they have put 5 contractors there. Have you seen any sign that the work is going on?
No, for this particular stretch, there is nothing showing that there's a contractor on site. The only thing I can say that from Tumu to before Jeffrey, there's a contractor around that place. But after Jeffrey, all the way to hand, there is nothing happening.
Wisdom now spent my time at the mechanic. The meeting is client as a result of the question breakdown of his pickup. I spotted a handful of trucks and buses parked at the middle and some on the shoulders of the road. Speaking off camera, the drivers told me they have been stranded here for the past few days after they ran into some of the gullies on the road, breaking their axles. The Hen Tumu Road project, otherwise known as N18, according to the Upper Sudan Minister, has been awarded to 5 contractors with a completion date set before the 2024 general election.
The contract was awarded to a Chinese company, Greenhouse Construction Limited. But because we wanted the project to be completed ahead of the 2024 general election, we terminated that contract and awarded it to 5 different contractors. The idea is for those contractors to speed up with the work so that we get the road completed before the 2024 elections.
It is the hope of the people that the promise of Dr. Bin Sali is not one. Ruins.
And just gone by, you saw Rafiq Salam's Ghana Potholes exhibition from the Upper West region. You can send us a video or photos of what the state of the roads in your area are like and what your concerns are. But it's now time to have another important conversation. As you may be aware, James Gyakye was sworn in as MP of Asin North after that very interesting by-election. And I'm sure you're familiar with the story. And he's currently in court, still facing trial. And it was quite interesting because while he was sworn in yesterday, the case was being heard in court. And the minority MPs in Parliament have made a promise to be with him every time he appears in court. But what is the impact of that to parliamentary work? And I've been joined now by Sami Obing. He's Executive Director of Parliamentary Network Africa. A very good morning to you, Sami. Before I hear you on the impact of the minority MPs' decision on the work of Parliament, let me just find out from you your quick thought on Mr. Gyakye's case and his re-election and the drama that unfolded in Parliament yesterday.
Well, good morning. Yesterday was quite a happy day, for those of us who monitor Parliament and who believe really that nobody, no constituency, no constituent in Ghana must be denied the opportunity to be represented in Parliament. Those of us who have maintained that the denial of the people of Central Kuukyi and Fafulelodi and the South area in the 2020 election was such a cardinal injustice to them. Asin North has been denied representation for well over a year since their member of Parliament was injuncted from, sitting in Parliament, and eventually he lost his seat because it was declared null and void. And so for them to have gone back to elect a member of Parliament, for the member of Parliament to now officially take his seat in Parliament to represent the people, it was such great news. And I think that for those of us who are watchers of parliamentary democracy, there could not have been any happier news than that yesterday.
All right. So just let me know what your thoughts are also on the decision by the minority MPs to be with Mr. Gyakye every time he appears in court. We know yesterday was court day, so we saw videos of them with him in court. What is the impact of this on parliamentary work?
Well, it is within the rights of members of Parliament on the minority side, or any member of Parliament at all, to want to solidarize with anybody that is in court and the member of Parliament feels that the person has a just cause and what have you. So, it's within their rights, just like it's within our rights also to, be on the side of our colleagues in the media, our colleagues in civil society when they have issues in court and what have you. However, in doing so, members of Parliament must learn that they have a bigger responsibility towards us, their constituents. For which reason the decisions that they take must factor in the responsibility that they have towards us. And what is this responsibility? This responsibility is that they are our elected representatives. Because all 30 million of us cannot fit into that parliamentary chamber, our constitution makes provisions so that individuals will be selected to go represent us. It means that anytime a single member of parliament is outside of parliament and does not participate in parliamentary business, tens and sometimes hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians lose their rights to representation in parliament. And you see, parliamentary business is not just about public business. We usually categorize parliamentary business into two categories: public business and private business. Public business being the business of the government of the day.
Right.
So loan agreements, and all of those other things
Sammy,
that the government brings to parliament.
Sammy, could you just hold on for me? I need to quickly speak to Mr. Abraham Amaliba. He's Director of Legal Affairs of the NDC because he has other very, very important issues to attend to. So let me just get his thoughts quickly and then I can come back to you. Thank you for joining me this morning, Mr. Amaliba. And I'm sure, as we could tell, your side was really excited about the swearing in of James Jachikwason because you feel vindicated in so many ways. We heard from some of the Queen Mothers who accompanied him to Parliament yesterday while he was being sworn in, and the concern for that Queen Mother, who was speaking on behalf of many of the traditional leaders there, is that the case in court must be abandoned. For you as a party, how do you feel about that call?
I think it's the right call when you consider the fact that just a week ago, when the same person was presented to the people of Asin, they still voted him back. It's a clear indication of the confidence that people have in him. Now you have a government that has dug its feet in the ground and have taken a position that they will go ahead in prosecuting him. If you consider the fact that we are spending so much money just to get the back of this man at the High Court in Cape Coast, at the Court of Appeal, and at the Supreme Court, and now also at the High Court with the criminal matter.
But Mr. Amaliba, the reasons you give, isn't that setting a very dangerous precedence then, that if somebody allegedly commits a certain crime and is being taken on by the state, then the fact that they may have been voted for by people which you believe to be a vote of confidence then suggests that the case must be discontinued? Aren't they separate issues here of a thing of people making a choice for their MP and the state believing that that particular person may have broken the law at a certain instance? What is the correlation between the voting of the people and the vindication or otherwise of a legal matter?
Have you considered the nolle prosequi that was entered in favor of Aisha 1 by this same government? What excuse did they give? They said Aisha 1's prosecution will not yield any dividends to Ghana. They cited economic benefits from China. So we have done it before. What is the benefit? What are you going to benefit? I'm using their own words. What's the benefit in prosecuting the MP as we have it today? What's the benefit? It does not change our economy. It does not make our economy any better. But this is a country that is saying that we are trying to ensure that those who are living outside this country and have dual citizenship can continue to contribute to the nation by even removing a constitutional provision that says that they can't occupy offices.
But that's going to happen subsequently, and we've heard your flag bearer speak about it. In fact, we understand that in Parliament, that's a discussion that has started, and there's currently work ongoing. But Mr. Amaliba,
what I'm saying is that if you have that discussion ongoing, even in Parliament, you don't do anything to defeat that purpose.
Right.
That's my point.
So isn't it a better win and a stronger indication for you as NDC and representatives of Mr. Jachikwason if he goes through the legal process and he is cleared of all these charges, because your team believes that he has a good case to present. Isn't that a stronger win for you than just asking that the case be abandoned because he's been re-elected?
You have not heard any of the lawyers representing James Quinton saying that the Attorney General should enter knowledge. I think you called me to discuss what other people are saying. And I'm saying that I agree with them.
Right, yes, I understand that, Mr. Maliba. I'm just asking you, asking you that for you, don't you feel that if he goes through the process and he's found not guilty, that's a stronger case than, the case just being abandoned or he being let go?
Oh, you are asking of my opinion?
Exactly.
Okay. In my opinion, we have looked at the facts of the case, and we have come to the conclusion. Don't forget that there's a witness who was already in the witness box. The witness seems to even be confused. He's not even aware of some of the things. That is going to be a waste of time. These are sum-up charges. Don't forget that in all this, the MPP has been saying, and the Attorney General has been saying, that this MP must suffer the same fate like Adamu Sakani. So it's not about prosecution. It's just about equalization.
Okay.
It's not prosecution. If the Attorney General himself says that the situation should suffer like Adamu Sakani, you can understand that it's just about paying back, but not actually doing the work of a prosecutor. And that's why I'm saying that it would be a waste of time to go through all this process just because you want to equalize.
I appreciate your time here this morning. Abraham Amaliba is Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC, and we were just taking his quick thoughts on some calls which have been made by some traditional leaders in the Asin North area for the case against James Quinton to be discontinued. He agrees with that line of thinking, and I just asked him whether it will not be a stronger win for Mr. Quayson if he's allowed to go through the process and, as his team believes, is vindicated, and because they claim he has a good case. We'll be following up on this keenly. Our men in court will be bringing us all the details, but I've still got Sami Obing of the Parliamentary Network Africa on the line. Sami, do you want to react to any of the things you heard Mr. Maliba say before I proceed with you?
Well, maybe even before Mr. Maliba mentioned, states that, as I was indicating earlier, parliamentary business is twofold. There is a public business side of things, which is, the things that emanate from the government, the bills, the loan agreements, the other papers that get presented by government. But there is also private business, which is the issues that members of parliament, for and on our behalf, execute in parliament, like questions to ministers on when our roads will be fixed, when our communities in various constituencies will be electrified, electrification, each project in community, when schools will be built and what have you. And so for the minority members of parliament to boycott parliament on days when there would be court hearings for Mr. Quayson would mean that they will be shirking not only the public duty of parliament, but also the private things that need to take place in parliament. And all of us will suffer for it. But the aspect in which I can link it to what Mr. Maliba said is also that we don't also want a situation where a certain member of parliament is on a daily basis frustrated by court actions that are intended to make him not able to represent his people effectively. So that if a member of parliament sits in parliament from Tuesdays to Fridays and we are saying every single day he must be in court, then we are invariably saying that every single day that person must not represent his people in parliament. And that certainly is not something that we encourage, and so it is about time that whereas we want the rule of law to prevail and people who are considered as having committed a crime or alleged to have committed a crime to face the full rigors of the law until such a time when, of course, bearing in mind that they are innocent until proven guilty. Whereas we think that must take place, it must also not impede the work of Parliament unnecessarily. And in so doing, also members of Parliament must learn that in solidarizing with their people, they must not also make other people lose their right to representation.
Right. Now, your quick reactions to what we heard Mr. Maliba say, and we can move on.
Well, so certainly we know the stance of the NDC party on, the case in court and the fact that, it would have been best for them that this was not continued because of the waste of everybody's time and their opinion and what have you. We've heard also the Attorney General and their stance on the subject matter. In the end, the fact that the people of, and you asked a very brilliant question, that, look, does it mean that if somebody wins a majority vote in an election, whatever criminal issues that are hanging around the person's neck must be dropped simply because of that? I don't think that's the kind of precedent that we want to set. But I also think that if there are semblances of deliberate prosecution, in this particular case, with the intention to, frustrate the work of Mr. Kuukyi as a duly elected member of Parliament, then that also must be.
Right. So for you, what are your expectations moving forward? I mean, so this decision by the minority MPs and the call that the case should be discontinued, what are your general expectations moving forward?
So first of all, it is my expectation that, these are times in which our political class must show leadership. Leadership that identifies difficult moments and have conversations, difficult conversations during these difficult moments to find solutions. So, for example, we have work in Parliament to execute. Parliament is sitting now until about the 9th of August. There is a lot of business that needs to be transacted. The minority has served notice that they would be boycotting. I expect that around this time, instead of the majority also, countering them with unequal measure, perhaps having a conversation and saying that, look, we understand your point. We're saying that certainly Parliament work must go on and Mr. Kuukyi must be made to participate fully in Parliament work. And so would we want to impress on our colleagues within the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General's Department to ensure that, they can argue that this case can be taken in a manner in which it does not disrupt parliamentary business. Parliament does not sit on Monday. Could we consider a situation of appealing to the court to ensure that these cases are taken perhaps only on Monday, or Parliament adjourns Senate for their long vacation on the 9th of August? Could it be an option for us to look at the period after that, so that there could be, we could see as citizens, as constituents, that our leaders are really reasoning together to be able to find, solutions to the problems that militate against us as a country.
Grateful for your time this morning. Sami Obeng is Executive Director of Parliamentary Network Africa, and we just had that quick conversation on Mr. Jachikwesin's trial, what the future is going to look like, obviously from the perspective of the NDC, also speaking to its Director of Legal Affairs, Abraham Amaliba. Quickly, we will get interactive with you. Benjamin will join me for that. Do stay. Thank you so much for staying, and Benjamin Akakpo has joined me. It's a very nice shirt you've got there.
Thank you.
I like this.
It sort of reflects your red.
Yeah, the color scheme going on is great. Got a bit of red and blue.
When you're with Bernice Abubedu Lansa on the show, you have to.
Please.
You have to live up to.
Yeah. So it's good to be here, Benjamin. And that was a very interesting conversation you had with Madame Kuukyi.
Yeah.
It's hopeful what she says. And not to sound like someone who is a pessimist, but we want this country to move forward. And I'm excited by what she's saying, but I want her to know that we'll be watching.
We've always been solidly behind them as a network.
Watching. Yes, and we've been collaborating on the Clean Ghana project.
Yeah.
And that's a good one there. And so we hope that very soon we won't have the annual flooding reports we do all the time.
The ritual must be brought to an end.
Yes, yes. And it was quite interactive as well, where you had people sending in the messages. It's quite heartwarming to know when you join us, especially online, while we're live streaming, and you send your questions and comments. We appreciate them. So it's time to get interactive, Benjamin. And we've got Flag Bearer Hopeful saying some very interesting stuff. Tell us.
Well, for starters, Alan Tremate has been saying, the amount of work I have done for this country, sometimes I even feel ashamed talking about it. In President Kufuor's era, I was one of the senior ministers in Kufuor's administration. I brought PSI, the President's Special Initiatives. Remember that?
Yeah.
And if Ghanaians had listened to me today, Ghana wouldn't have gone to the IMF. Now, that is the issue there, the verdict. But Bernice, let's get into some of the reactions.
136 comments. Richard Donko says he always speaks the truth, but unfortunately, the current NPP administration has made it difficult for the party to win the 2024 elections. Alan, good luck next time.
So what are they saying? Right person, wrong party?
Yes, or, many analysts have said that it will be quite difficult for any person coming from this particular administration to win the general election, not be flag bearer of their party, but the main election because of all the economic mess that we are
the baggage the party is
and so this gentleman is saying that better luck next time. That is to say, this does not exonerate you. This does not, give you that clean sheet that you're trying to portray. You're still a part of the mess, and we still consider you to be it. So Prince Arthur says, this guy always stabs the party in the back when tensions get high. Wow. He did it during Kufuor's era. He resigned from the party, and he's repeating it again. There's a principle of collective responsibility in governance. So, Mr. Tremate, you can't absolve yourself from any happenings in Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's tenure.
This reflects the rhetoric of some people that for all of those who have served, don't even think of it. Because you've been here, you've done that, and all of that. But can we really put them in that box and say some have written off the Dr. Baumiers, the Alan Tramatings, because you've served, and what could you do? The Dr. Freya Kutos, I don't know, but that is the thinking of that's one school of thought.
This one says the Honourable Alan must know that loyalty is everything about a person belonging to a political party. He's not loyal to the party at all. And again, I asked the question.
Right.
Okay, and it reminds me of a question I posed to Dr. Asante when the Kumewu election happened, and MP for South Dai, Roxin Dafiamepo, raised concerns about the number of votes the NDC was, having in some of the polling stations, and he claims that they had agents there numbering more than the votes that they. The votes that were credited to the party then. And then I asked Dr. Asante that question that, is it a case that we expect that once you belong to the party, it must be a rubber stamp affair? So even if I don't agree with the candidate, and I know for sure that candidate B from the other party is a better option, just because I belong to the party, I must give it a thumbs up. And I'm asking this because of the loyalty card that is
and it really also leaves a lot to be desired, because loyalty, yes, even if you go out there, loyalty plays a key role. But loyalty to what extent? Loyalty to the point of hypocrisy, seeing what is happening and simply saying, because of loyalty, I'm going to paint a picture that everything is right. He's saying some things may have gone well, but the special initiatives, if we had stuck to them, maybe we wouldn't be going to the IMF. What is wrong with that?
Yes, and I think that people are trying to narrow it down to this particular government, but he's talking about the work since President Kufuor,
exactly,
which has seen different governments come.
Which is when we started with this enterprise, anyway.
Exactly. And the other question is, Benjamin, would it have been better for Mr. Tremate if he had resigned before the time he did?
Well, he had started serving with this administration. I don't know whether it would have added or taken away anything.
Anyway, our first caller, Abendao, is joining us. Hello, Abendao. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, good morning, Benny and Atako. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well, too.
Yeah, I got good. Yeah, I want to share my views a little on the flooding issue in Accra.
Okay.
It is just like a national anthem that every occasion we stand and sing, because the flooding situation, we have seen very well that some buildings have been sited trying to block the water from passing. And the water, when you block it, that it will enter your room, and then it's supposed to go and enter your neighbor's room, and then property are destroyed. But our leaders don't have that courage to make sure that those buildings which are wrongly sited are being demolished to a safe way for the water to move on smoothly. So day in, day out, we'll be singing out this anthem, but until our leaders decide to be courageous and brave enough to do the right thing, still, the flooding will continue to worry us in the major cities such as Accra, Kumasi, and the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Abendao.
And maybe before we go to the other comments, let me just let you know as well. We're also looking at the interesting case of Kwame Asante. You just had that conversation with Sami Obeng of the Parliamentary Network Africa, together with Abraham Amaliba. We're also looking at that conversation from the standpoint of former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Ni Ayukwe Otu, saying, you know what? Discontinue the case. Issue a nolle prosequi. Let me know what you think about that as well. You can bring in the Domahine's response, Samukujeto's response, among others. So what more are we getting?
Atiedu Jr. says, point of correction, not Ghanaians but MPP, and this is in reference to Mr. Alatramanting saying that if Ghanaians had listened to him, we won't go back to the...
So this one says, tell your party if they had listened to you, not Ghanaians. Okay.
All right, and Bukari says, you guys don't listen, but you think others should listen. And Avotri says, how many Ghanaians are managing the economy?
Okay, so this is a bullet. That's a shot that has just been fired. Because the question is, you guys were, so who is at the helm?
All right, Ahmed joins us. Hello, Ahmed. What issue would you like to share your thoughts on? Let's know, please.
But Honorable Alan Chiramantin, he wants to wash his hand from the dirty. There is no way. It's too late for him. He could have resigned at the beginning of the first term when he saw that things were not going well. But now it is too late for him to resign or wash his hand from the dirty the mess the NPP has caused.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So there's this one by Collins. I'm not sure how to pronounce the first name. I don't want
Nsiatre.
It's Nsiatre.
I think so.
Okay. Why don't you just say the truth? Akufo-Addo is a disaster, and they say it was God who chose him for us, and he has the emoji with his hands over his head. If this were Nigeria, you say, Ewo. We have a caller from Teshi. Alhaji, is it? Please, what's your name? Alhaji is
my name is Alhaji. I'm calling from Teshi.
Okay, so he's taken Alhaji to be his caller name. Right.
Please, let's hear you.
Yes. You see, our problem is these journalists. I've never seen kind of journalists that Ghanaian journalists are doing anywhere concentrating on opposition. Meanwhile, me and you, journalists, are not with the opposition, it's with the government. Instead to attack or instead to concentrate on government, we concentrate on opposition. That's what today we are where we are. So Allah will not tell us what he's telling us today. Good morning.
Good morning, but I find it quite interesting. You know why? Because, I mean, and this is not to downplay his opinion, but I got feedback yesterday, or somebody thought that we are hitting government too much. And it almost felt like government never did anything that was commendable. And then it was in a meeting, we were having this conversation, and another person said, well, but they are the ones who have been given the chance to manage our affairs. So if the questions to be asked, you don't go and ask the opposition. But it's interesting that Alhaji thinks we're doing the opposite, focusing more on the opposition. Do we do that?
We'll always find ourselves at the crossroads when it comes to people thinking of Ghana from different political ends and looking through different political party lenses. So I don't pay too much attention to that. I was just sharing with someone, a prominent person, Professor something this morning, that look, I have been at both ends of the spectrum, and whenever one party is in opposition and another is in power, you're seen to be in opposition. We're always in opposition.
Yeah.
That's our position, and we gladly play that in the interest of the people, not in terms of any agenda, but the fact is that if you're in power, you have the power. Do what you must. If you don't do it, we'll come after you without fear or favor.
Yeah, but what Alachi is saying is the opposite. He
thinks
focusing more on the opposition, that we should focus on government.
His opinion.
Which I find interesting, though. But we have your namesake calling us from the Ashanti region. Hello, Ben. Let's hear you, please.
Yes, good morning to you all.
Good morning. How's the Ashanti region? Where exactly are you? Kumasi?
Yeah, I'm located at Tepa.
Oh, Tepa. How's Tepa?
We are cool here.
Please reduce the volume of your TV set for me, if you can. Please reduce.
Yes, Tepa is cool.
Sorry, Ben. If you can call us again, we were getting some terrible feedback. Please, when you call us, reduce the volume of your television and listen to us over the phone. It's easier to communicate that way in real time. Benjamin.
Yes, unfortunately that we lost my namesake. But crucial issues, and I think sometimes in discussing these matters we get too political. I get those comments a lot when I do the news review. Yesterday I posted on Instagram and someone sent a comment about, going hard after this administration. And I put it back to the person. When the former president was in power and I went hard on him in terms of Dumso, the Kanazue, do you remember the Burkinabe businessman issue, the Guantanamo 3, among a plethora of issues, the economy and all of that. Did the person feel then that I was being too hard? Why now? So sometimes people can't detach their political party sentiments from the national interest. We'll do what is in the national interest. If we don't talk about some of these issues, if the lights go off now, and you people are not discussing the pertinent issues, but when we talk about the IPPs, you are going hard on government. You can't eat your cake and have it.
We have a caller from the Bono East region. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please, let's hear what you have to share with us.
My name is Afo. Concerning the flooding situation, I generally think that people should speak to the people who are living in the city. Most of these floods are caused by choked gutters and choked drainages, which are caused by we humans and our own activities. So we are the cause of our own problems. Government can go around digging the whole country, trenches and bridges and drainages. If we still continue to dispose of waste indiscriminately, the flooding situation will still come up every year. And another thing of personal interest, I am Oma Mubuno East correspondent. You should come around and please come and help us with our roads. It's quite terrible.
Right. We're doing a project on the GH potholes exhibition, so definitely we will cover that. Thank you so much. What's your name? We didn't get your name.
Hello, ours is not a pothole issue. To be frank, we do produce a lot of cashew in this area, and our roads are in a very terrible state.
All right, your name, please.
You cannot even ride a bicycle on a 20 frame. It's Kwame Asante.
Okay, are you a cashew farmer?
Yes, I'm a cashew farmer myself.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for calling us. We appreciate it. Right.
Well, so a few outstanding issues that I'd also like to get the opinions of people on. Aikwe to the Domahene, among others, sharing their thoughts. And of course, something we were talking about earlier today, the renovation of the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum.
Beautiful.
What do you make of that as well? Yeah. So share your thoughts.
Yeah, so I saw a post by Manasseh Azori Awuni asking that we make the entire edifice self-sustaining so that it will be able to raise money and then maintain the place. So we don't have an issue of every other government.
Now we have to, some funding must be given over time, but there must be a self-sustaining. And that is where if we make it in terms of the tourism, we make it such that it becomes a regular. We advertise it, we hype it. Then it will be self-sustaining in terms of being able to get tourists come through
Yeah.
and the funds received we can use to maintain the place.
Exactly. So this one says, honor goes to those who work for it. It has not come through the back door. Leaders owe posterity a legacy to be proud of. Prof. Rest smiling in peace. Prof. Okay. Purple Venture says, this is nice, but don't we have more pressing needs than this? There are lots of communities that still don't have potable water. Ooh. This money can make over 1,000 boreholes across the country. Okay, we can drill over 1,000 boreholes across the country. So I'm sure he's talking about the 30 million CDs allocated to the, we didn't say it too. Are we the ones who said
Different schools of thought.
Exactly. Stephen is our last caller. Hello, Stephen. Let's hear you, please. Oh, too bad we lost Stephen over there. But
beep, beep. Never a good sound when you're taking calls.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we won't be able to pick any more calls. We've run out of time. Benjamin, do you have any wishes to
some came through earlier on the news review during that segment, but I don't see any now. So I guess we would have to move on from there. Yeah, well, done and dusted.
And it's time to say goodbye. It's not always easy, but we have to go and prepare and, look forward to another exciting edition tomorrow where we bring you all the important conversation as they happen with the relevant people sharing their thoughts. And obviously you who watches every day, we appreciate the time you make to get interactive with us.
But even talking about those conversations, right before we go. So let's talk a bit about the Joy Change Speaker Series, the 5th edition. Now, imagine a democracy without the media, and we all know that the media is mandated to hold government accountable to the people. It is the most influential vehicle for development. So how is the Ghanaian media discharging the onerous responsibility? What must change? What do you think? Well, the Joy Change Speaker Series 5 for the second quarter of 2023 has assembled just the right speakers for the topic media and national development. The premise, promise, and practice. This is on the back of the State of the Ghanaian Media Report 2023, and it is this Saturday, July the 8th, 9 a.m. to noon. You know how we do it. The President, Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA, hosts Samson Ladi Anyanini and Dr. Theodora Dame Ajintete of the Department of Communication Studies, University of Ghana. So look forward to that one. Joy Change Speaker Series, impacting, influencing for a better Ghana.
This is what you don't want to miss.
No, you definitely don't want to miss one like that. Most definitely.
So on that note, we say goodbye, take care, but do stay with us here on the Joy News channel, your most credible news source. Up next is News Desk with Aisha Ibrahim.